Show.
I hate people individually, but I love mankind.
Oh, you do?
The Mark Reardon Show.
I got into broadcasting because I like to give. Sometimes I found myself hurting from giving too much.
That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage.
The Mark Reardon Show is on now.
All right, here we go. Post-holiday. Hi, Sue Thomas. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How about you?
I'm good. I think I'm going to adopt a bear. I haven't told you about this yet, but there's this bear roaming around. Have you seen the videos of this thing?
No.
Wait a second. This is breaking news to you?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
You mean worse than the usual amount of bears? Because sometimes that happens.
There is a bear. We're going to talk with someone from the conservation department. So my friend Chris Smith sends me this video. I put this up on Twitter. You can find it at Mark Reardon KFDK. But Chris sends me this video from his mom's neighborhood in Lake St. Louis. And here, I
did see that you put up.
So, yeah, I mean, and that thing is wandering around, and a lot of people are, I'm trying to find, Chris sends me a lot of texts, but it was, I mean, look at this one right now. I guess I can't do this for the audience unless I show them on the video and on the Twitter.
It's just a baby.
And I think that I said it was like a younger baby, but they think it's more, I believe, a teenager. We're going to find out. Ethan, who is filling in for Fred, has set us up this afternoon with Patrice Pyatt. She's got an interesting title. It's a wildlife damage biologist, not wildlife biologist, wildlife damage biologist, right? So that's very specialized. But this thing has been roaming around, and a lot of people are taking pictures and snapping photos and stuff like that. And look, I've known we've talked about these bears before. Remember when we did the fish fry down in Eureka?
Yeah.
And that was, and I can't remember the name of the parish, but that's where the bear literally broke into the school that one day. And
that was so crazy.
Yeah, I know. So, even where I live, my guess would be because right behind where I live near Paradise Valley is a big conservation area. And it wouldn't surprise me because there's a lot of woods back there that there might be some bears moving closer. But this is pretty civilization oriented where they were getting pictures. There's subdivisions. It was wandering around several different towns. So it's kind of interesting. And yeah, I might adopt a bear.
Okay. Let's put him in the zoo.
That's quite the jump. We go from, there's been this bear, this wild bear that's been, making its way around the greater St. Louis region. And I'm thinking about adopting it.
Sue, you're going to, and I know I'm going to be judged here, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm likely, and I'm going to be judged here. I'm likely going to be in puppy territory very, very soon.
Oh, I'm not. Oh,
bring him in.
Well, because look, we lost Duke a couple of weeks ago. My poor little terrier Olaf is so boring. Bored right now, not boring. Sorry,
I was going to say,
holy cow. Maybe she'll judge you for that.
My brain is still not working 100%. No, but I feel so bad for Olaf. And here's the thing: Alexa's out of school right now.
Can we help you go pick him up?
Here's what I would say. I don't even know. this is going to be an adoption. We don't get the only purebred dog I ever had was my lab Chase, and the reason was we were in Columbia at my friend Kevin's, and Kevin was his dog was having a lot of puppies at the time. And I think I told you this story. It's kind of really sad when you think about it, but everything worked out great. He was black lab, purebred black lab, but Chase had just like a little, he was named after Chase Daniel, Ethan, by the way.
Oh, nice. That's great.
He had just a little white on him, right?
Aww.
And because of that, people didn't want him because...
because he wasn't... because he had... Oh, my gosh.
So
good for you, then.
Well, but Kevin, that day I'm fishing with my boys. They're probably... I'm sure Aiden was around Alexa's age. Oh, yeah, because this was 2008, so he would have been 8 years old. Evan would have been 11, and we're fishing at his farm. This is where I kind of go hunt, and Kevin Yeager is my fishing mentor. I've known him for 35 years. The boys are playing with the puppies. There's 3 left. And he goes, well, you can just have that one. And the next thing I knew, I'm coming home with a puppy that weekend.
Yeah.
There were 2 things that I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew that I wasn't going to come home with a puppy because I never thought I would. And I knew that Mizzou was going to beat Oklahoma State. And that did not happen either, but we still named it because that was why we were in town. We were in town for a football game, and Chase Daniel, that was his era as a quarterback. So I think we might start looking just a little bit this week.
Okay. Are we going to go? Well, are we going to talk about that now?
Yeah. I mean,
look, where are we going to go? We're going to go.
I've gone to the APA before. Where I got
good.
Duke was the APA. So, but look, I'm actually looking for, I know some people would rather perhaps adopt an older dog or something that's house trained, but we do like puppies. And with the given situation that we have, especially with the bunny, I think a smaller puppy is going to be better. But look, my daughter's going to have to step up.
I was going to say, you understand here all the
Yes.
implications.
We've had so many conversations. They were out of town over the weekend. So I told Becky, I said, you need to have long conversations here about the responsibility and what's at stake. And of course, there's expenses and all these things that go, along with this.
And you can't leave that dog for more than 4 or 5 hours at a time. It's a baby.
Absolutely. So, but this is the time that we can actually do that because like Alexa's hanging right now with her
I'm
neighbor.
So excited.
Okay, good. I thought you were going to judge me because I'm like, okay, maybe that's a little bit
I'm
too
always
quick.
pro puppy.
So if anyone has any recommendations, please let me know. Chris Smith, I mentioned him. He sent me that's why I couldn't find the bear video. He sent me 10 different Facebook links from organizations. And there are a lot of organizations out there. So I get that. But
Mark, real quick before you move on, we got a couple of people in the YouTube live chat that are talking about their favorite dogs ever. And Russell was talking about his favorite was a black lab that they had to put down 5 years ago. He was a rescue and his name was Chase.
Oh yeah.
So
I like
how about that?
I like it. You know who T Boone Pickens is?
Yeah. Wait, I know the name, but
big oil guy. He passed
That's
away
right.
several years ago, but he gave a lot of money to Oklahoma State University. And shortly after I got that puppy, I told T Boone Pickens that idea. He was doing an interview with me, and he had this Southern drawl. And I said, I told him the whole story, and I said we named him Chase, even though your team beat us. He goes, "Well, you should have named him Boone." And I thought that was pretty funny. Hey, how'd your trip out to El Greco go?
Oh my gosh, Mark.
I have to start with this a little
Dang
bit.
it. Ethan, we drive all the way out. Okay, it's whatever, Saturday night.
was
I'm
Saturday,
like, okay,
right?
let's go on an adventure. Michael says, all right, where are we going? I said, well, we're driving all the way out to Highway 94 and something or other to El Greco.
You were just down the road from me.
Because we, because this listener said that had I known, we could have at least gone to see you. So we drive, I look it up online. They're like, okay, open to from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Okay. We drive up, we pull up, and it's 26 minutes from the house, or 26 miles, 36 minutes. Pull up, and there's a handwritten sign on the door. We are closed today.
But we'll be open tomorrow.
But
Didn't
we'll
they say
be
that?
open on Monday. Ah!
So you didn't go back though, right?
No.
Did you die a little bit inside?
I did die. I think we both did. I think we both did. And then I looked up on Google. And
so what did you go with instead?
It went to a Mediterranean place nearby.
So,
and it was fine, but it's not what I was in the mood for.
So for those people who might have missed the original conversation, when I came back from Greece a couple of weeks ago, I admitted that I love the food over there. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. But the gyros, I like them better here. They're different over there. And there was no lamb. So people were making recommendations, and that was one that came up. So kind of a sidebar story from that. Yesterday, I had to go to the Apple store because my bunny chewed on more cords. That's another story.
That's going to be your life for the next
apparently
year.
It will be. So,
no guitars though, right?
No.
no guitar strings. But I have two good friends that live very near West County Mall, Chuck and Michaela. And I texted Michaela and said, hey, I would have swung in for lunch, but I was kind of teasing her. And I said, I kind of had a hankering for a gyro. And she says, did you go to the place right next to our house? And there's a new place that's called Tzatziki's. It's called Tzatziki's Mediterranean Cafe.
Ooh.
And I guess it's right there on Manchester, just, a few blocks from.
Try that.
I can give you Chuck and Michaela's address.
Okay, yeah, send that to me. I'll try that. But
I'll send the link to you. I'll send you a link.
Thank you. We tried. And then I thought, I had a moment of panic driving out there, and I thought, we have a couple of Greek restaurants next to us that are pretty good. And I wonder if this is just the out there version of good.
Right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
fair,
So
yeah.
I don't know, but we'll have to try.
Well, I
again.
still want to check that place out.
All right,
but I think I'm
I
going
will go out
to
there.
check out Tzatziki's as well. So let me just quickly run through the weekend because my wife and daughter were out of town this weekend. They went up to Milwaukee to visit friends. That's where Becky's from originally. I lived there for just shy of 10 years. And I did not have a bear encounter, but here's what happened on Friday night. And this seemingly was a close call. You might remember the discussions a few years ago about the raccoons that were coming to my yard. So I'm about to let Olaf out. Olaf's like 17, 16 pounds. He's a tiny dog. He just got a haircut, so he looks even smaller. And I don't always, this is down in the patio that goes out to my backyard. I do not always flip the light on because the dogs are used to going out.
Used to it.
But for whatever reason, in this case, I'm like turning the light on and opening the door at the same time. Well, my lovely wife had left a bag of bird feed out there. and there's this pretty decent sized raccoon. And as soon as I hit the light, he doesn't move. He stands there and he's staring at us. And I still look at him, and I wanted to grab my phone to get video, but he's not really. He backs away just a little bit, and I didn't want to let Olaf out. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I would assume that the raccoon would have ran away, but
you don't know.
You don't know. So that was an interesting little Friday night experience. It literally scared the crap out of me. Just
Did it
because,
finally run off?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I let Olaf out the front. I put the
Okay.
leash on and let him out the front. And then I went out there and I kind of rattled a shovel around just in case.
Right.
But it just kind of put the fear of God in me. Hey, I want to mention Jason Smith is coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. We do have someone from the conservation department that's going to talk about this bear. But I also had a great weekend from this perspective. So I watched a lot of movies. I got outside with my dog and I took some walks. And then on Saturday, the Cardinals had another victory. And I'm on a text string with my friend Joe Arnold.
Oh, I love this.
And Scott Jennings from Louisville. See, now everybody, it's so funny because when I would say that name in the past, a lot of people wouldn't know who he was, but people know who he is now. And Joe and Scott and I are texting, and Joe says something like, "You want to go tomorrow?"
Ooh.
And Jennings' response was, "Strongly considering." So Joe and I are like, maybe
wow, yeah.
Because we've been trying to get him here. And look, we've even talked about doing, if he would come in for a game, he'd do a speech or we'd have an appearance with 97.1. But literally his schedule is so jammed right now. It's unbelievable. So they drove up from Louisville on Sunday morning. Now, when they left, there was like an 11% chance of rain. And then by the time they're rolling into town, it's raining relatively steadily, at least at my house it was. And it was sort of a comedy of errors. I don't need to go into all the details here about getting them here and getting the ticket situation, because if Scott would have come into the game on Sunday and he would not have been with his family, there would be a divorce attorney that would be involved right now.
I
so he had to negotiate with Autumn. So Autumn and 3 of his 4 children came in, but we were trying to arrange tickets together. So Joe and Scott and I got to catch up. It's kind of a funny story because I think Annie Fry responded when we're watching this on Sunday. We're watching the game, and now Jennings is checking his phone, and he sees Annie Fry, and he says to me, "Annie Fry said, welcome to St. Louis. We love you, especially that Mark Reardon guy." So Jennings puts the phone out, takes a selfie, and he says, "Speak of the devil, and he shall appear." And that was kind of fun. But the short story is Joe Arnold is the connection here. And Joe and I go way back to probably about 2000 when he was on WHAS in Louisville. We retold this story amongst each other on the Sunday. So I worked in Milwaukee at the time. I'm literally going to work at 3 a.m. I was there at WTMJ at 3:15. Our show started at 5. And I love WHAS because I had gone to several Kentucky derbies. And I'm listening to this guy in the middle of the night, Joe Arnold. And barely out of high school, doing the news in the middle of the night was Scott Jennings.
I'll be darned.
So Joe and I have been friends for 3 decades. And about 10 years ago, we've always done, and Joe even came on when I was in Greece to talk about the Derby, right?
Yeah, he did. It was great.
About 10 years ago, we're talking politics, and Joe's like, and he was in media for a long time. He goes, "Oh, you got to meet my friend Scott Jennings. You remember him?" I'm like, "I don't think so." Well, here's what he does. He was in the Bush administration. So we've all been friends for 10 years.
That's really nice.
I did say to someone over the weekend, I was communicating with Senator Schmidt as well, who's very hard. Eric and I have been friends since 2008. We've known each other for a long time. But you get to a certain level, and I'm not getting to that level, but those guys are at that level. Look, they're going to Mar-a-Lago and all this stuff. I even said to Schmidt, might have been the last time I'll ever see Jennings. I have no idea.
Right.
But
did anyone recognize him?
Yeah, we had a couple people.
That's cool.
Apparently he was, I won't give you the car, but he has an EV that self-drives, right?
Oh, yeah.
They had a stop at a charging station, and he's signing autographs and doing selfies there. A couple of people at the game, but we were in the seats of the game, and most people didn't bother us. But look, it's different now.
That's so
There's no doubt about it.
It is.
But it was awesome to hang out and spend time.
Oh, I love that
time.
happened, Mark. I'm happy for all 3 of you.
Well,
and they won. That's the best part.
Not only did they win, but that game was incredible. We go down 2-0 in the first inning, then we get a run back, and then Mason Wynn. It's Mason Wynn Jersey Day, and Mason Wynn hits a home run, and they're back and forth. We go down, we tie it, and then you can maybe encapsulate what happened in the 9th, because we have the lead. I think it's just a 1-run lead, right? It's 4-3, and they're threatening, and Nolan Arenado makes this catch where he almost kills himself because he, runs into the net in the seats. That was incredible. And Ethan, I will just tell you, that game felt like a playoff game. There was so much excitement.
Honestly, all 3 games against the Diamondbacks this weekend had that atmosphere. The crowds at Busch did a great job. The players have talked about how that fires them up. They were all 1-run wins, all down to the wire, back and forth. It was a phenomenal weekend of baseball, and for them to be able to win all 3, the Cardinals are back, guys. I'm just
absolutely.
telling you.
Actually, Jennings told me he's going to try to go tomorrow night because they're in Baltimore, and he's going to take the train from D.C.
Oh, that's awesome.
That should be fun. All right, we're off and running. We got the big, beautiful bill, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Missouri Congressman Jason Smith, on deck.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
All right, let's take a look at the roads. It's really not bad. If you are westbound on 70, just some moderate volume right there at Lindbergh and then Highway A out through Wentzville. 64, that's a slow go, mainly Hampton out through McCausland, a little bit at 270, and then Lake St. Louis Boulevard on either side. Southbound 270, moderate volume from Page down through 64, and then it's a little slow at Gravois. We've also got 55. With a brief slowdown, and that mainly is at Bates, and then things open up and actually look a lot better from there. If you are headed into Illinois, we're fine at this hour. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, Lakeside Renovation and Design has been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Thank you, Sue. Jason Smith is coming up. By the way, we have George Gray coming in this afternoon to do The Price is Wrong. So the 4 o'clock hour will have Sue's News. We will lighten it up quite a bit. George Gray from The Price is Right plays a little game here called The Price is Wrong. It's going to be awesome. I want to guide you into MasterCars Inc. They're in Granite City. They're across the river. It is a used car dealership with new car caliber. And I can kind of tool you around the website right now. They have Jeep Wranglers. They have a really cool Ducati if you're into motorcycles. Lots of Harleys. They're the Corvette Kings, so they always specialize in those. But there's a different way to use them, and that's by having them source a car. So if you go online and you're looking at the inventory, that's one thing that they can do for you, and they have plenty of cars that are on the lot. But if you want a particular vehicle, a specific make and model, whether it's a super fancy weekend car, whether it's your everyday car, that's what they do. They have a passion for it. They've done it extremely well for nearly 75 years combined at this time. Father and son team, Alex and Gary Rosenberg. The other thing I always tell people is if you need to sell your car, you're going to, probably get a better deal. They purchase a lot of vehicles each month from people just like you. I sold them a Jeep Wrangler that I still miss to this day. I wish we still had it, but they, gave us a great deal on it. And I think we need a little cash at that time. So that's why we did it. So use MasterCars Inc. as your car experts. You'll develop a relationship with them just the same way I have. MasterCarsInc.com. They're in Granite City.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law.
Welcome back to RX Watch. This alert is disturbing.
Right. A while back, we learned that companies like Johnson & Johnson use a mineral called talc in baby powder and other products.
And studies show that talc, when used for feminine hygiene, can cause ovarian cancer.
Now listen to this. RX Watch has learned that the talc they use is being mined in China.
Right, and talc mined in China contains heavy metal contaminants like chromium and magnesium, which are known to cause cancer. But China doesn't care.
So China gets the jobs and we get contaminated talc in our baby powder.
And ovarian cancer.
Right. With their specialized tests, the medical team at Onder Law can help you know if your ovarian cancer was caused by talc.
Onder Law has helped women for years with free and confidential consultation. You need to call Onder Law's pharma attorneys at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
That's 1-800-RX-WATCH, or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Retirement statements just hit mailboxes, and for many, the shock is real. Some investors lost 20% or more in just the first quarter. If you're close to retirement, that's more than a dip. It's a danger. But here's what most advisors won't tell you. Gold was up over 30% during the same time. That's a 60% swing. And at retirement, that kind of gap can change everything. So compare your Q1 statement to gold's performance. Then call Noble Gold Investments. Noble Gold specializes in helping people protect what they've earned with real assets like gold and silver. If you're tired of watching your nest egg shrink, it may be time for a change. And right now, when you open a qualified account, you'll receive a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Compare and call 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa on how our educators and mentors share their knowledge.
The whole Lifestyles Unlimited team is just wonderful, and all the people in it is basically copying what I do so you could be successful.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297 and save 60%. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
The Diamond Shop graduation sale. All watches are 20% off, even Movado. Men's jewelry is 40% off. 40% off Pirelli G and gold fashion jewelry. Everything else is 30% off. The Diamond Shop.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 FM Talk.
Well, a lot going on here this afternoon. I mentioned we got Sue's News for a Tuesday edition. We're going to be thrown off a little bit because of the holiday, but George Gray is coming in because this was his best day. He was supposed to be here, I think 2 weeks ago, and that's when I was having a little bit of a mental health crisis. So he's still in town, and we're going to have a lot of fun in the next hour. But let's talk with the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Missouri Congressman Jason Smith is back with us this afternoon. How are you, Jason?
Doing well, Mark. It's great to be with you as always.
You haven't been busy or stressed at all the last month or 5 or 6, have you, Jason Smith?
I would say the last year,
yeah.
But I probably slept the best this weekend that I've slept in months in my life, knowing that a lot is off my chest and now over in the United States Senate.
Yeah, for people who don't know, I mean, I've known about how important this tax writing committee is for a long time. I mean, it's not really false to say that this is maybe the most powerful committee on Capitol Hill. And you were the one that was helping craft and shepherd the big, beautiful bill over to the House for this full vote and then on to the Senate, correct?
It's correct. We've been working on this for almost a year. I set up 10 different tax teams that went to 23 different states, over 120 different site visits, listening to just everyday Americans of the issues that they're facing in the tax code. And that's what created this bill, is all of that groundwork. And we've been preparing a lot. And people are like, what's in this one big, beautiful bill? And when they ask that, I tell them it's the largest tax cut in the history of America. It's the largest tax reforms in the history of America. It's also the largest mandatory spending cuts in the history of America. And it's also the largest investment in securing our border. It absolutely funds completion of the border wall and the unnecessary water barriers that's needed along our border. It also creates the Golden Dome. It's a state-of-the-art shield against enemy missiles that can attack our soil. There's numerous items in this bill. And when you think about the tax stuff, Mark, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors, things that will affect real Americans, increasing the child tax credit, increasing the standard deduction, which 91% of Americans use to file their taxes. These are real impacts to their bottom line and their paychecks.
Well, first and foremost, if you did nothing, everyone, we talked about this a lot, right? Everyone's taxes would have gone up because you didn't have permanency from the Trump tax cuts in 2017. So that was certainly one thing you had to address. But let me ask you a couple of things because it was hard to keep track of this. In the end, did Chip Roy and Ralph Norman both vote for this bill? I can't remember.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so there was a lot of folks that were very interested in Medicaid. And what the Democrats want to say, Jason, is you guys are cutting people's health care, and they claim all these things. In the end, what happened specifically with Medicaid? Because they were trying to have some work requirements and things along those lines, right?
It did. Work requirements were provided within there. That was some of the most major reforms of Medicaid that helps protect and save the program for the people that need it. This only deals, Mark, with able-bodied, healthy adults. And so I think that when you look at other areas where there's been work requirements, why does Medicaid not have it? TANF has it. And so we put that in place. And so that is one of the big reforms in it. Also, some of the big reforms within Medicaid was also making sure that illegals aren't receiving welfare benefits. That was a big part of the savings within this bill.
But is it true that, do you think you have the support in the Senate from one of our senators, Josh Hawley, who's kind of sided with the Democrats on some of these claims with Medicaid?
You know, we'll get there. Josh has been a great ally and partner on every piece of tax legislation I've worked on. In fact, he's the only senator from our state that supported my bipartisan tax package in the last Congress that unfortunately died over in the Senate because 7 Republicans decided not to vote with it. But I think he'll be there. He's very focused on the needs of Missourians. He wants a higher extension of the child tax credit. Our bill increases it by $500, which is indexing it for inflation because it was $2,000 in 2017 and it's $2,000 in 2025. And if you just index in for inflation, it should be $2,500, and that's what we did within our bill. And I think there's a lot of stuff that you'll be excited to see in this bill, and I think that both of our senators will support it.
So in one version of the bill, and I don't know what ended up in the finished product, the work requirement for Medicaid didn't kick in until 2029. Is that still the case?
No, there was a manager's amendment that moved it up, I believe, until 26 or 27.
Okay.
I can't remember the date. That was put in at the last moment, and that's actually through the Energy and Commerce Committee. But it definitely got moved up. The 29 day did not make any sense.
Yeah, because then if the Democrats take control in 28 and there's a Democrat president, they can undo these things, right?
Absolutely. And that's the crazy thing. Why would you want to wait to deliver on good policies? And so they moved it up. I just don't recall the dates exactly.
Okay, then on SALT, because that gets confusing. People hear SALT. That's the state and local tax deduction. There was a fight over the SALT cap. Where did we land on that? And is that satisfactory to you?
So the state and local tax deduction is not something that affects Missourians because we're a good governing state and we don't have high property taxes and high income taxes, and our people like New York, California, New Jersey, those are the states that's mainly concerned and affected with that. The bill that passed out of our committee, we increased the SALT cap. Currently, the SALT cap is $10,000, and that is the amount of money that you can deduct off your taxes that deals with property and income tax. Well, it used to be unlimited until 2017. There was a $10,000 SALT cap put on there so that everyone faced $10,000. Our bill raised it to $30,000. Ultimately, in the Rules Committee, they changed it to $40,000 is what was agreed to with the New York, New Jersey, and California Republicans.
Yeah, so I want you to explain that a little bit, because I've actually made the case, because people need to know this. You and I think have talked about this before. A Jason Smith or a Bob Onder Republican's not the same in some of these areas in New York or California, where maybe even Kamala Harris won the district. So they have a constituency that is a little more sensitive to those issues. And in order to get a majority and to get the numbers to the Senate, there has to be compromise.
They have to. See, the issue is if the tax cuts would expire, they would have an unlimited SALT, not a $10,000 cap, an unlimited SALT. And that's what their constituents have been pushing for, is to have an unlimited SALT. Well, for us to be able to get to a middle ground, threading the needle, that's where they came to the table. And $40,000 is a lot to Missourians, but $40,000 in Long Island, New York,
not
is
as much,
is about a middle class person up there.
Absolutely. So where would you point toward, because there's still a lot of complaints about not enough cuts, and that this is, well, the Democrats are going to say this is the biggest, spending bill of all time. Where are the cuts?
It's madness when I hear them say the greatest spending bill of all time. They are trying to use CBO gimmicks that says using current tax policy is spending money. These are Americans' tax dollars. We're just allowing them to keep them. It is not a spending bill. The only thing that's being spent in this bill is for the Golden Dome and for securing the border, which was like $150 billion. And that was all completely paid for by all the spending cuts. There's a lot of stuff within mandatory spending that we eliminated. Just in the Ways and Means Committee, we eliminated $140 billion of benefits going to illegal immigrants. That was just within the Ways and Means Committee. We also cut more than $500 billion of the Green New Tax scam within the Ways and Means Committee. This is what the Democrats are upset for. That was their token legislation in the Inflation Reduction Act, and we gutted it.
Well, unfortunately, as you know, I mean, it's been ridiculous to me for years. And essentially, they campaigned last year, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, on giving Americans a tax increase. The problem is it never got communicated through the media because they're so biased. They weren't honest about it.
It's exactly right. They kept saying that they wanted expiration of the Trump tax cuts, which would have meant every single American would have faced a 22% tax increase. That's 207 million taxpayers that on average would have faced a 22% tax increase. Not only are we making sure that doesn't happen, we're also additionally reducing their taxes.
Congressman Jason Smith, well, congratulations on getting the bill to this point. What happens specifically next? It's kicked to the Senate. What's the timetable? Does it have to then go back to the House? And how do you get it to President Trump's desk?
So I'm working with Chairman Crapo, who's over the Finance Committee, hand in glove, and also with numerous Republican senators, trying to help just be a partner to help them usher through this process. The goal of Leader Thune is to get this on the president's desk by July 4th. I think that that's a real opportunity. We have 6 weeks to do that. I think that you'll see that happen. I expect the Senate to make a few changes. I don't think they'll make a lot. There's some senators out there, Mark, that says, oh, we're going to cut more spending than the House. I would love to see the Senate cut more than the House, and for me to say that the Senate did better than us, but that's never the case. But I think you'll just see reality. They're going to try to cut more spending, but I don't think they'll ever get the votes because they have to thread a very careful needle with different senators that have very interested concerns when it comes to different programs. And so we'll probably go to a conference. We did a conference in 2017 on the Trump tax cuts, and then we'll pass it. But we're going to put this on the president's desk.
Nice work, Jason. I know how hard you worked on it, and I appreciate you coming on here this afternoon. Keep us posted.
All right, Mark. Take care.
Yep,
Have a
care.
good week.
Congressman Jason Smith, who is the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. I don't think people realize how much work he's done and how hard this was. And it's not a perfect bill. You're not going to get a perfect bill unless you have, 60 Republicans in the Senate or you have this big majority in the House. It is impossible to be, something that everyone is going to be satisfied. Now, I said last week, I was on Team Chip Roy because Chip Roy was insisting on some more of the work requirements. And I think in the end, they got some of those. I haven't read all of it. There are things about these bills that you're never going to really probably find out until they're signed. But I do think they need to get it to the president's desk, and we'll see what happens there. We're coming back. We're going to find out a little bit more about the bear that's wandering around in St. Charles County next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've we've got some volume out there. Westbound 70 looks good out of downtown. A little bit of a slow pocket near 79, and then Highway A out through Wentzville. We've got a jam coming off of the McKinley Bridge, easy for me to say, and headed for 70. And the volume on the Poplar Street Bridge, of course, is headed into Illinois, but the approach to the bridge is fine. Southbound 55, some volume headed down toward Bates. Westbound 64 lines up, but it's moderate volume approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Well, now we've got an accident reported eastbound 6440 near Big Bend. Traffic is lined up there. And southbound 270, moderate volume in pockets from Page down through Doherty Ferry. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Siding Express specializes in James Hardy siding, and they can transform your home with beauty and durability. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
I've had some friends and family, even members, say, hey, where are you going for a big summer vacation? I said, well, we went to Greece a couple of weeks ago, so we're not taking a big summer vacation. But Innsbruck is what's perfect about that, because we can get away from St. Louis. It's a great staycation. It's less than an hour away. I love it out there. Hiking trails. You can fish, cabins of all sizes. You can buy a property out there if you're interested in that. You can have a home built at Innsbruck, but they do have rentals and all sorts of rentals. We were talking about dogs here a little while ago. We love to bring the dogs out there, and it's a lot of fun. You can get places that have hot tubs, which is kind of fun when the weather is cooler. Now, they have a pool for the kids. They have a great fireworks show. They have a beautiful golf course as well, a recently renovated full-service restaurant, bar, and coffee shop. You don't even have to leave the property. You just go to the coffee shop and get some snacks in the morning, or the bar. It is really awesome. Even if you want to take an extended vacation, Innsbruck is perfect for that. And on the property front, whether it's a primary residence, a vacation home, or an investment property, they have 1 to 3 acre lots out there. They have experts on the staff that can help you, guide you through that process. But if you're curious, if you want a staycation, you want to build something, you want something out at Innsbruck, go to innsbruck-resort.com or call 636-928-3366. The website again, innsbruck-resort.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need, while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches in my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said, I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around the store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain instantly, literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy, with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Do painful joints prevent you from enjoying an active life? Blue Tail Medical Group can help without the expense and risk of surgery. Regenerative treatments can help patients with age-related wear, arthritis, or injuries by encouraging the return of soft, healthy tissue between your joints. Our doctors offer a natural path to reduce joint pain without surgery, drug dependence, or long recovery times. See nationally recognized specialists right here in Missouri at BlueTailMedicalGroup.com. That's BlueTailMedicalGroup.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Jill Biden was not about to let her husband step away from this powerful position that was enriching their family. He was the golden goose.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9. Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show.
You know, I made the mistake of watching some of the American Music Awards last night. We're going to talk about that before Sue's News. Did you hear about Southwest Airlines? They're kicking in the no bags for free. I'll have an update on that. We have Sue's News, and we have George Gray, the legendary George Gray, doing The Price is Wrong. He is the actual guy with Drew Carey that is the voice on The Price is Right. So George is a good friend of the show. He's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. He's a St. Louis guy. He is in town visiting Mama May, his mother, and he'll be here in the next hour. Got Peder Zane in the 5 o'clock hour, and Elliott Davis, former Fox 2 reporter who's doing a lot of great independent journalism. But look, I'm fascinated by the bear that's wandering around. I mentioned my friend Chris sent me the picture, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this with Patrice Pyatt, who is the wildlife damage biologist with the Missouri Department of Conservation, just to give us a little info here this afternoon, at least what we know. Hi, Patrice. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. As I mentioned, I had a friend that shared this video over the weekend, and at first I thought I was being punked because I was told it was in the Lake St. Louis area. I thought, wait a second, is this real? And apparently it is real, and there have been a lot of sightings. So what can you tell us about this? I was told it was a juvenile cub that I was looking at, but maybe mom's around as well. What do we know at this point?
So it does look like a younger bear, but we don't think necessarily juvenile. We think it's old enough to be out on its own, likely like a teenager type stage.
Right.
So I think that we have to worry about mom being anywhere. This bear has really covered some tracks. So it has been spotted around Wentzville, Lake St. Louis, O'Fallon areas. So he's been covering a lot of area, but we haven't had any conflicts with him so far, which is really, really good. And he's been, like I said, moving along under his own power and, pretty well staying out of trouble. So that's what we're looking for.
I want to understand what you just said, because you cut out just briefly, but you're saying you're not worried about the mom being around because this bear is kind of on its own at this point?
Yes. Yeah. It looks like it's old enough to be out on its own for sure. So we don't need to worry about mom not being around.
I live in the High Ridge Fenton area, and I know that there've been, sightings and even an incident down in Eureka at one of the churches down there. But this kind of surprised me because I guess I think of Lake St. Louis, maybe it's not a lot closer, just because of where I live. But is this a little closer to civilization than we're used to with bears in Missouri?
Well, we would definitely like for them to stay out of urban areas, but that's just not always possible. We do see them coming through on occasion. We've had several bears come through the St. Louis area in the past several years. And so, as the bear population increases every year, we're going to start seeing this expanding bear population start showing up in the St. Louis area. So it doesn't really surprise me that it's happening. Do we like to see them in the middle of town? No, but.
Well, so I guess the question then would be, first of all, I think I forgot to ask you, this is a black bear, even though it's more of a brown cinnamon color. Is that true?
Yes. So they can have several different colorations or phases. So this one is definitely a black bear, but it's more of like a cinnamon color. So they can range from black, brown, this reddish kind of cinnamon color that we're seeing in the pictures of this one. They can even be blonde. So there's several different colors that they can be, but they're all black bears.
Now, Patrice, as you probably know, and we see examples of this on the socials a lot, sometimes people do stupid things when they're trying to get videos of bears and other wildlife. So what is the danger level, and what would be the warning that I guess you would give to people who are curious about this bear?
Yeah, so there's actually very little public safety concerns as long as people give the bear space. So we want to encourage people to, maybe look from a distance, but definitely don't follow the bear. Don't corner the bear. Definitely keep your distance away from it. We hear, people that, get extremely close because they want to get their selfie or whatever. And that's a terrible idea. So we want you to stay back, away from the bear as to not stress it out, not make it fake. It needs to, run over you to get out of there. We don't want it to be cornered at all. So
I had an interesting incident over the weekend because my wife, God bless her, she left a bag of bird seed out and it was right by my patio door. And I go out on Friday night to let my little dog out. And thankfully I hit the light because there was a raccoon that was munching on the seeds. And I bring that up because some people like to, we weren't doing this on purpose, but some people do like to feed wildlife. My guess would be, do not feed the bear. Let the bear find food on its own.
Right. Yes, exactly. We don't want the bear, making that association between food and humans. We don't want, to start a dependency type situation there. So anything that attracts bears, and that can be like garbage, pet foods, bird seed, like you said, or nectar, barbecue grills, coolers, anything like that, livestock feed, beehives, keeping that stuff put away or stored securely is best, especially when you know that there's a bear in the area. So we would definitely encourage anyone listening to make sure that they, get that taken care of. If you do see the bear while you're out and about, just kind of remain calm. You hear people say, well, should I play dead? It's like, no, don't run, don't play dead. And back away safely, keep your safe distance, make lots of noise, and the bear's going to go on. But we definitely don't want any attractants out to draw the bear into your area, and you won't have to worry about that.
I have a lot of animals in my house, and I always love to adopt animals. Can I adopt the bear, or is that not allowed?
No, that's definitely not allowed. So
one final question. Do you guys, in a situation like this, do you ever tag the bears so you kind of can track where they are? Or is that not something that you do?
Yeah, there are some research, projects that go on sometimes where we tag bears. There's also times when there's conflicts with bear, maybe the same bear comes back and destroys property or something, and we'll have to trap it and we tag it to where we know that the same bear maybe is returning again. Right. So yeah, there are instances where we do tag, but not necessarily with this particular bear yet. Like I said, he hasn't really done anything to make that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think he's pretty darn cute. That's why I wanted to adopt him. But Patrice Pyatt, wildlife damage biologist with the State Department of Conservation, thanks so much for the info, because you know how it is. A lot of people are buzzing about this. Probably wouldn't have as much talk if it wasn't for videos popping up everywhere, but people keep seeing him. Oh, wait, I want to make sure. Is it a he or a she? Do we know?
We don't really know. It's typical young male behavior to travel this far and stuff like that, but we're really not sure as of yet. So we've just received, some reports about it, like you have, and some pictures. But
right. Okay. Hey, Patrice, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
You're welcome.
Man, I almost misgendered the bear.
Oh, well.
I was very concerned about that. He is pretty cute, though, Sue.
Yeah, he's darn cute. Did she say he was a juvenile? I had to step out.
No, she said they think it's the juvenile will be classified as a younger bear.
Yeah.
This is more of a teenager.
Oh, it is a teenager.
Yeah, and they're not. So I guess the difference would be what I kind of inferred there is that if it was a juvenile, mom might be a little closer by, and that would be a little risk. But in this particular case, they're not worried about that. So he's out there. Leave him alone. Let him have some fun. Don't give them a beehive. I think that's what I heard there as well. We got Susan News and George Gray coming up with The Price is Wrong.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident reported eastbound 6440 before Timberlake Manor. Watch for that in the center lane. Traffic, of course, stacking up back to about Clarkson. Southbound 170 is slow go, headed for 64. Westbound 40, most of the volume there is approaching Hampton out through McCausland. There was an eastbound accident near Big Bend that caused a delay back through 170. Out west, 64, that's a slow go. Highway N out through the 70 split. 70 is slow approaching Highway A through Wentzville. Downtown, some volume westbound 44, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. Southbound 55, headed for Bates. And some moderate volume eastbound, headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
One of the things that I always hear about Banner Construction, you could read the reviews online. I've talked to customers of Banner. They all rave about the customer service, the level of customer service. They are outstanding. They stand above a lot of the rest here in St. Louis, and they specialize in great products like James Hardy fiber cement siding. What the heck is that, right? Well, it's a building material. It's used for homes, but also commercial properties. It's a blend of cement, sand, and cellulose. It looks like natural wood. It's more durable. It is beautiful. It wasn't too long ago. Most people hadn't heard of this. They are trusted by James Hardy here at Banner Construction. Same thing goes for the Pella replacement windows. So if you're looking for a whole new look in your home, they can help you out. The benefits of the Hardy siding are, countless. Low maintenance, outstanding warranty. You get a good ROI. It's, if you're interested, green building practices. So there's a lot of benefits. The benefit of Banner Construction, they're the best here in St. Louis that does work like this. One of the other things they wanted me to tell you is that they're hiring qualified carpenters at Banner Construction. So if you want the design team to make your home the best looking home, the neighborhood showcase, call for a free consultation. 314-569-1050 or bannerconstruction.com. And if you're a carpenter that's qualified and you need a gig or a better gig, check out Banner Construction today.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050, now hiring qualified carpenters.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
The International Institute of St. Louis invites you to try international cuisine, support local immigrant-owned businesses, and more at their community bazaars. The bazaars are free and open to the public at the International Institute of St. Louis, located at 3401 Arsenal Street, and take place every other Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Learn more about the International Institute of St. Louis Community Bazaars at iistl.org/bazaar. Message supported by Together Credit Union.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
new fast-track request. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Trump administration asking the U.S. Supreme Court to quickly consider a challenge to migrants being deported to South Sudan, asking justices to lift a federal judge's order blocking those deportations, at least temporarily. Most of the migrants are not from South Sudan.
The administration says in some cases, migrants' countries of origin are unwilling to take them back, and allowing them to stay in the U.S. victimizes law-abiding Americans. Judge Brian Murphy says the White House unquestionably violated his earlier order requiring migrants be given a chance to object before being sent to a third-party country.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. New York City's first in the nation congestion pricing program stays in place for now as a federal judge blocks the Trump administration effort to end the toll on vehicles heading into part of Manhattan. The federal government had given the city and transportation authority until tomorrow to end the program or risk losing federal funds and approvals for state projects. New York's governor says the program is legal and is working, reducing congestion and raising money for transit improvements. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville has a new campaign.
I will announce that I will be the future governor of the great state of Alabama.
Telling Fox's Will Cain just a short time ago.
I'm doing this to help this country and the great state of Alabama. I'm a football coach. I'm a leader. I'm a builder. I'm a recruiter. And we're going to grow Alabama.
The former college football coach won election to the Senate in 2020 as a Trump ally. Current governor, Republican Kay Ivey, is term limited. Missouri's abortion ban may be back on again. The state Supreme Court just ruling a district judge applied the wrong standards in rulings that allowed abortions to resume in Missouri. Voters struck down the state's abortion ban last November. The Missouri Supreme Court is handing it back to the district judge. America's listening to Fox News.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Not much going on weather-wise this evening, though mostly cloudy skies in play. I still can't rule out a spot shower here and there, but it's fairly limited. 58 for the overnight low. Evening temperatures will be in the mid to upper 60s. Wednesday, partly sunny. Have to call it nice, 76. But if you run into a sprinkle, let's not be surprised. But it's primarily another dry day. Wednesday night, partly cloudy, 55. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. President Trump saying today he's watching positive steps forward with the European Union after agreeing to delay his 50% tariff on goods from the EU until July 9th. The president adding that the EU had been slow-walking negotiations with the White House. Meanwhile, Japan's Nippon Steel is expected to close its acquisition of U.S. Steel for $55 a share. President Trump cleared Nippon's bid for U.S. Steel on Friday. It's the end of an era for a fan favorite at the airport. Starting tomorrow, travelers using Southwest Airlines will now have to pay $35 to check their first bag, an additional $45 for a second, ending their popular 2 bags fly free policy. On Wall Street, stocks remain higher, with the Dow gaining 1.7%, the S&P 500 gaining 118, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ up by 460 points. That's Your Money Now.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
If you are not signed up with Underdog Fantasy and not having a blast, especially with baseball getting fun here in St. Louis, this is a great place to really get started. Download the Underdog app. The Champions game is so easy. I'm going to walk you through a couple of examples here in a second, but what you need to know is millions of fans have won billions making plays on Underdog. We can play this now in Missouri. The app has over 100,000 5-star reviews, and all you have to do is download the app. You come up with a username and a password, and then you choose whether a player will go higher or lower on a stat line. So if you look at the game tonight in Baltimore, you got Palente on the mound. You can choose, from strikeouts, from earned runs allowed, from hits allowed, from walks allowed. On the other side for, we can start with Jackson Holiday, Matt Holliday's son, who, is a pretty good player. Home runs, fantasy points, hits and runs combined plus RBIs. That's kind of a fun little area to go into. You can take, Lars Nootbaar, is he going to get a couple of hits tonight? You mess around, you put an entry together, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Now, if you download the app, I want you to sign up with the promo code MarkR. That unlocks a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. It's super easy. It is super fun. The promo code again is MarkR. Underdog Fantasy must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Are you experiencing frequent or sudden urges to urinate, waking up to use the bathroom multiple times a night, or a weak or slow urinary stream? If previous medication hasn't provided relief, the doctors at South County Urological can help. Call 314-843-8000 or visit southcountyurological.com.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
There's nothing colder than your shoulder when you're dragging me along.
So this is a young artist by the name of Benson Boone. Have you ever heard of Benson Boone?
I have.
So my daughter loves Benson Boone, and this song here, I call it magical mystical, and then Alexa corrects me. It's mystical magical. Get it right. Well, he was on the American Music Awards last night. I think he did this song too. But what's interesting about this kid is just like 3 years ago, he was on American Idol.
Oh.
And he comes out and he looks like a high school kid because he basically is. And he sits down at the piano. He tells, I think it was not Blake Shelton, Luke, what's his name? Luke Bryan. Thank you very much. Katy Perry and then Lionel, right? And they're blown away by this kid. They're like really, really impressed. And he says that he had never really done any singing. He figured it out about a year ago, been singing. He sits down at the piano. He starts to belt it out. So Katy Perry says something along these lines.
I mean, I'm going to tell you something that you may not believe. But if you believe it, it might happen. I mean, I'm like literally, I like see American Idol and I see you. And I see you winning American Idol if you want.
He makes it into the top 24 of American Idol, and then he vanishes. But he vanishes until he has big hits, and now is one of the biggest names in music. So I wasn't clear. I was watching the show when that happened. I had to be refreshed when I watched the video with my daughter last night, because the story is, and he said this in interviews, is he made a decision with his parents. And by the way, I think he's been vindicated on this decision. He did not want to be tagged like the American Idol pop star. They felt like he had enough talent on his own to make a go of it. He's only, I think, 22 years. Yeah, right. This is when he was 18, but he is literally one of the biggest things. My daughter loves him. She's going to go see him at Summerfest in Milwaukee. I'm not actually sure if he has a date here in St. Louis, but one of the things he does is he does these backflips. So he's very athletic, I guess you could say. I like some of the music. I certainly do. But Becky and Alexa were gone last night, and they got back from Milwaukee, and I had recorded, it was in my queue and YouTube TV, the American Music Awards. It was just awful. Outside of
Really?
It was terrible.
You mean the performances?
Everything about it.
Award
J-Lo comes out and she's doing like a montage of all the songs. And in the first 3 minutes, and you know me, I have gay friends. I don't care. In the first 3 minutes, she's making out with men and women. You got families that are watching this. So then they go from that. And I'm thinking, okay, who's going to be on here? I want to see some performances. They go to Blake Shelton. Well, Blake Shelton's okay, but I've seen Blake Shelton.
Right.
And then at one point, they do a Janet Jackson tribute. Ethan, do we have some of that?
We do.
Okay. And that's fine, too. But
it wasn't Janet. It was a tribute
No,
to
it
her?
was her. It was her. So that was actually okay. But I was looking at maybe seeing some artists that were interesting to me, and apparently none of the nominees were interesting to me at all. Then they bring Gwen Stefani on. Like, wait a second. Is Blake producing this whole show? Because they're together,
right?
Gwen. So even Alexa, who likes pop music, and she thought she'd be engaged. She goes, Daddy, let's watch the American Music Awards. So we go downstairs. We start fast forwarding. She doesn't want to see Blake. I'm like, I didn't really want to see Blake. She didn't want to see Janet Jackson. She didn't want to see Gwen. It was just a terrible, terrible show. I've ripped on the Grammys, but I think the Grammys at least put something together that is worth watching for the performances, not for the speeches and for the preaching. So I don't even care who won last night. I can give you a list of people who won. This is funny too. Billie Eilish wins, right? Artist of the Year or something like. Well, she's not even there. She's on tour. So everyone's excited. It was just a terrible, terrible show. So I just wanted to point that out. But I had to mention the Benson Boone moment. The other thing that happened today that some people are not going to be happy about, and I think I had one guy on Twitter say this is going to go down as one of the biggest blunders in maybe marketing history, along with AB and Dylan. What's his name, I should say. The bags fly free policy done at Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, this stinks.
But doesn't stink for me. And I'm going to tell you why here in a second, because I had to read down into the story. I tweeted about this a little earlier. They announced today that the first check bag will cost $35. The second check bag will cost $45.
Are you kidding?
If you book today, this will not count. But if you start booking tomorrow, so if you've already booked a flight, I think you're good, right? It says the policy only applies to flights booked on May 28th or later, which means today is the last day to book if passengers want to avoid the new fee. However, here's the carve out. Business Select Choice Extra, that's not me. A-list preferred customers, that's not me. But here is where it is. Chase Rapid Reward credit card members will get one free check bag. And that's the only...
Ooh, I have that.
I can't even use my debit card anymore because it's got a crack in it and I don't want to change it. I tried to use it. I only use my Southwest card. I get up every morning and I pay the bill.
Thank you for saying this, because I can do that too.
Exactly. So that's... that's something that's a benefit if you don't have I love my Southwest card because you build up points for, credits for flights as well. But I wanted people to know that there are a couple of carve outs. And this kicks in tomorrow. All right, let's do Sue's News. We got George Gray coming in after that.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Oh my gosh, Mark, that's huge.
Yeah,
All right.
I thought so
Thanks
too.
for
Because
rubbing it in, guys.
that has not been in the headlines that much. Right.
Free bags, and I'm over here,
Apply for the Chase
credit
card.
Get yourself, and I looked up how much does it cost, like on United, to check a bag. I just wanted to see if it's all the same. And they said $40 or $35 if prepaid online. And the second one is $50 or $45 if prepaid.
So it's basically the same.
It's pretty much the same. Oh, I hate it so much.
If Southwest decides this isn't working, maybe they go back. But look, it's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker,
yes.
And they know that. But here's my bigger concern with that is it's not easy to get on airplanes. More people are now not going to check bags.
Yep.
And the process to get on the flight is going to be even worse than it already has been. So
when does the seat choosing come? I mean, has that happened later?
Well,
does
that's a
that
good
happen
question.
later? Because I think they were going to do that as well.
They were talking about that. Right.
Right.
It'll happen probably.
Yeah, it will. Gross. It's national. Yeah, it is gross.
Well, the only
that
thing
was the fun of Southwest.
The only thing I'd say about that is maybe what they do is they do that zone thing because then you want to load. Don't you want to load the back of the plane first?
Yeah, you would think.
I don't know.
But then everybody gets mad that the people in the back are going on first.
Yep.
Well, it's National Grape Day.
Of course it is.
Yes. Archaeologists say that grapes have been around for 130 million years. Random.
How
That's
many
a long
random
time.
facts of the day are we going to get today?
That
huh?
is interesting.
It's also National Grape Popsicle Day, for obvious reasons, and National Cellophane Tape Day, which Richard Gurley Drew invented in 1930. He invented invisible tape, and he made it from cellulose. So that's why they call it that. It's for wrapping your gifts, essentially. And 68 years ago today, this has some music, Mark, because it was in 1957 that this song by Buddy Holly was released. It was his only number one.
That'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day.
That's a great song, right?
It was
a tragic ending, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was his only number one hit, and then he died less than 2 years later in a plane crash. Sad, really sad. Now, this movie is so classic to anybody who was a child or teen in the 70s that I had to bring it up. 48 years ago today, in 1977, Smokey and the Bandit was released. We have some music, because I pulled out the theme song. Jerry Reed, baby.
It was so epic back then.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, there was nobody. In one of the things
Yes.
about that movie is it crossed. I was, a 12-year-old kid back then. And it just crossed all generations, right? Yeah.
Can't be done.
Have you ever seen it, Ethan?
Nope.
Oh, you gotta
Well,
watch it.
if you were a kid in the 1970s,
Oh,
you
my
damn
gosh.
sure would have been required to have seen it, I think.
It was awesome. And, well, it's just, if it's on today, I will watch it. But
I wonder, I'm going to look and see if you can, Ethan, look that up if you would mind. See if you can stream Smoking the Bear.
Oh, that's a Smokey and the Bandit.
Sorry, Smokey. Duh. I'm confusing Smokey and the Bandit with Smokey the Bear.
Jackie Gleason as Sheriff Buford T. Justice. Sally Fields. It's difficult to beat.
Says it's on Netflix.
There you go.
Look at that. And that's the way to go, because that way you can hear everything that Jackie Gleason said instead of having it bleeped out.
So I'm wondering if this would be a good test, because I'm looking for like comedies that I don't have to think much
She's
about. But
not
I
gonna
wonder.
like it.
No. I'm not saying for Alexa.
Oh, okay.
Because she won't like it.
No.
But I wonder for us as adults, would it
Yeah.
hold up, or would we say, "What the hell were we thinking back then?"
No, I
right?
think it's nostalgia, 100%
Okay.
nostalgia, and we'll find it entertaining.
All right.
Shelley comments on the YouTube saying bears on the brain.
That's
See?
true. That's exactly what's happening with
That's
me.
what's happening. Well, pool season has been delayed by the cool weather here. I couldn't even, the pools opened over the weekend. I couldn't go. They wouldn't even open them. It's
Well,
so
they didn't open
cold.
mine yesterday either.
Is yours that way too? Okay, good.
Big Ben
I
Woods,
wondered.
we have the MAC pool too, but Big Ben Woods did not. I think they said no. Well, who wants to swim when it's like
Nobody.
62 degrees?
But good grief. So summer, when did you say it's going to come?
Okay, here, let me just lay it out for you here, just in case people are curious. The next couple of days, relatively mild. By next week, we're going to be in the 80s, and then probably
Right.
the following week in the 90s. So
Okay.
summer, I like easing in. I like
I
wearing
do
a hoodie.
too,
I wore a
but-
hoodie at the baseball game on Sunday. I loved it.
Okay, my husband loves it, but can I just get a lap in? That's all I'm asking. Now, we're going into science news because the pool brings this up. A new study has found that a person's fingers wrinkle in the same pattern every time they're in the water too long. Now, why do we care? I do not know. The wrinkles are caused by blood vessels under the skin contracting when immersed in water for a period of time. We already knew that. But researchers at Binghamton University looked into where they form, and it's determined it's virtually always the same, mostly because of those blood vessels that don't move over time.
Let me guarantee you this. Our tax dollars paid for that
Yes.
research. I promise you that.
Do you guys care when your hands get pruny, or do
Yeah, I
you
don't
hate
like
it, or do you
I
like
hate
it?
I hate
Really?
it. Yeah.
I
it's
kind of
weird.
like
Do
it.
you? I think,
Yeah.
Ethan, you're always the guy. Is it raining? I love it. We're all like, where's the sunshine?
I think
Are
it's
your hands
weird.
pruny? We hate it. I love it. Well, in optometry news, researchers in China say they've invented night vision contact lenses. Now, you knew that was eventually
Oh,
going to
wow.
come, but they let you see in the dark. They claim that you can even see with your eyes closed. They say you can't see a ton of detail yet, but they're still working on it, and they'll see what they can do. In grammar news, I hate to do it without Fred, but what can you do? Semicolons could be going extinct. A study found they're half as common as they were even just 20 years ago. Nobody knows how to use them. So it's just kind of dying. What were you going to say, Ethan?
I was agreeing. I don't know how to use them either.
Oh, I do. I like a semicolon. And
I
finally,
like a good semicolon now and again too.
it's
I don't know if I'm using it correctly, but I do use
that's
that.
the thing. I'm like, I'll throw them. Even in the podcasting, sometimes I'll throw them in there. I'm like, I don't know if this is right or not.
And finally, we have insect news.
I'm so excited
here
about
we go.
this because you teased this last
I
week,
did.
right? Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for insect news.
There we go.
A study found that plants crank out more nectar when they just hear bees buzzing. So as soon as a plant kind of gets the buzzing sound, they start pumping out more nectar. And researchers think farms might be able to play buzzing sounds to help crops get pollinated.
That is
Right?
an unbelievable fact.
Right?
One of the many things I love about Sue's News, and for those of you who do watch on the stream, if you're seeing the video, Ethan and I at least 3 times have had our face look exactly the same, like, wow, that kind of blows you away. There you go,
Oh,
Sue's News
wow.
on a Tuesday. Are you done, or did you have a random fact?
I have a random fact
Okay.
and a great story, but I'll do it later. The random fact is this. The average person's attention span for a single screen is 47 seconds, down from 2.5 minutes at 2004.
Well, I think I believe that. We'll share the other story. Got George Gray coming up next, though, and Benson Boone right here.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, there was an accident earlier, eastbound on 6440, really close to Timberlake Manor in the center lane. They've been working to get that off to the shoulder, but traffic is jammed behind it. Westbound, that's lined up Kings Highway out past McCausland. Out west, slow pockets approaching N out through 70. It's not bad on westbound 70 in the city. Moderate volume past the airport and across the Blanchette Bridge, and then things open up and some moderate volume out Highway A through Wentzville. 44 westbound slowing at the Poplar, southbound 55. That's a slow go. And that's mainly as you head on down toward Bates. Once you get south of there, it's really not that bad. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living, or Living in English. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living with modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Can you confirm it's still the month of May, right?
Yes.
It gets confusing with, like, Memorial Day came a little early, right? But
Yeah,
I
it did.
wanted to qualify that because I have a great offer from Zero Res right now. If you need some spring cleaning into summer cleaning, especially if you haven't done the air ducts. If you haven't done the air ducts in a while, this is a great time to take advantage of an awesome deal. As I say many times, if you use my name, you might get evil looks occasionally. But in this case, you don't even have to say my name. Just use the radio station to get the special for the month of May. And that special is this: 3 rooms starting at $129, 3 rooms of carpet, $75 off the whole home air duct cleaning package. Go online to ZeroResSTL.com. That's the special website for right here in St. Louis. Don't go to just ZeroRes.com. Make sure you go to ZeroResSTL.com or ZeroRes.com/St. Louis. Just make sure you're getting on the right site. You can also call 314-474-2020. Mention that you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. They can do every surface in your home. They don't use soaps or detergents or harsh chemicals. You're really going to have your surfaces stay cleaner longer. So if you have an area rug, they can do that. Now, I'll tell you this: if you have an area rug, they may have to take it with them. They did this for me recently where they take it to the warehouse, they get it all cleaned up, and then they return it. So they're not going to steal it or anything. You can trust Zero Res. ZeroResSTL.com. 3 rooms starting at $129, $75 off the air duct cleaning package today for the month of May. ZeroResSTL.com.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Well, you can find out how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, all of it. And there's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are a handful of openings for the classes this month and next. Just register by calling 314-947-2012. 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number, 314-947-2012.
If you're the victim of a car accident or suffered a work injury in St. Louis, you want attorneys who live here and work here to handle your case. You want someone who knows St. Louis and is about St. Louis. You want Kaufman Townsley. We settle only when it's in your best interest, and when it's not, we go to trial. And nobody has more experience than our attorneys. Experience that pays off for you. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 FM Talk.
So do you think that Ethan is aware that he's playing the game with us this afternoon because he is not in the studio?
Well, I think he is, but he's got a lot going on.
Okay, I know. Fred is off this week. We never like it when Fred's gone. The only advantage is that it's a holiday week and we only have 4 days of no Fred. He'll be back on Monday, but Ethan Hannaford is rocking it out, helping. I don't think he remembers that he's playing, right? Do you remember that you're playing the game? Oh, I think he was trying to find George Gray some headphones because we're a little off our game. George, this is what happens when Fred's not here.
We're terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay. I think I stole Ethan's headphones just now.
That's okay.
Zoink!
Fred is the glue that holds this show together, is what I would say. And one of the other issues is, and this is something I think I do every time, is I'm going to screw up the open here. But how are you, first and foremost? How you doing?
Well, no music, no build-up.
No, I'm going to do that. Wow. You want me to just start the music? Here we go. Okay, forget it. Forget it.
No, it's all right.
Hang on. Because we're playing a little game here this afternoon that is called, it'll come up here in a second.
The Price is Wrong.
Mark.
There you go. From Hollywood to right here in St. Louis, George Gray from The Price is Right is with us this afternoon. A little game we call The Price is Wrong that he, I think, not only developed, invested in, has it syndicated now all across the globe, right?
It's huge. Yeah, it's in Bitcoin, you name it.
Yeah.
There's money to be made with this bad boy.
Well, I told Judy Reardon that you were on today, so I know that she's tuned in at least. We do know that.
Hi, Judy Reardon. Hi, Mama May.
What just happened to my music? It just like stopped on me there.
That's Fred working his magic.
Okay, it'll come up again.
He's the glue, remember?
That might have been operator error on my part.
Did you really lose the music?
There it is.
There we go. It just stops. It's literally a 32-minute bed. That's how long we made it.
Bed? Is that what the kids say on radio?
Yeah.
So if you're listening at home, bed. That's their fancy way of saying they play music for a long time.
Yeah. Insider.
Don't use your terms with us.
Oh my God. Is this how today's going to go? I haven't seen you in a couple of months. This is how today's going to go. Well, what happened was, here's what happened. We used to do this and the bed, this music playing would run out every time. So we made it 32 minutes. You do not have 32 minutes to play the game. You have about 16 minutes, but we can get it all.
Why is it called a bed? Do you know?
I don't know.
I have no
idea,
question.
But that's all.
Underneath.
Yeah, it's underneath.
I was gonna say you lie on a bed. Maybe it's supposed to lie underneath.
Ooh, nice.
Deep thoughts,
George. These are professional broadcast terms that I've only been associated with for 40 plus years, and I have no idea what they mean. That's all.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad to be here. It's very exciting. And you know what? One of my favorite comedian friends, Annie Powell's actually listening from Boston.
Love it.
Listening all the way from Boston. Mama May is listening right now. My sister Renee. The whole world is tuning. Your ratings are spiking right now.
I got 5 people in the audience today.
That's right.
That's 4 more than last week,
somebody's
George.
stuck on the 4064.
Yeah, the farty 64.
The farty 64 to the farty fire.
You want to explain the game?
I do. You want to jump in? Sure. I didn't know if you wanted any kibitz.
I want you to explain the game because Ethan had to ask us, hey, remind me, because I think the last time he played was the first time he ever played. And apparently he's a huge fan of your show and he watches it on a regular basis.
Yeah, because he's 18. That's why. That's why you don't know The Price is Right.
It's fine. It's fine. We're doing fine.
We've only been around for 54 years, you know?
It's all good.
I actually like to find, I think it's really fun to find the one person that has never seen the show, knows nothing about it. Because it's like, even if you don't want to have ever seen The Price is Right, you've seen it. That means if you've never seen The Price is Right, you have never been homesick from school.
True.
You've never
Good
been in
point.
a hospital. You don't have grandparents and you don't visit them.
True. All of this is true.
That's very true.
You know, so it's really, you wind up seeing The Price is Right sooner or later.
But my honest to God, and I've said this before, my first memories were with my grandma watching The Price is Right. My mom's mom is in suburban Chicago. I mean, she was so loyal to The Price is Right. And a lot of people, well, you know, Judy Reardon still is today.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's kick it off. Here it comes from the beautiful Mark Reardon studio in downtown St. Louis. It's The Price is Wrong, Mark. Okay, I haven't done that announcer voice in a while. I had to blow out the cobwebs. All right, so if you're tuning in for the first time and have never heard The Price is Wrong, Mark, what this is, it's our little twist on the game. We got Mark and Sue and Ethan are going to play the game. These are real items from either Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, but they're available in St. Louis right now. You listening can purchase these items. So I'm going to read the items. I'm going to read them exactly as they are written. And if there's all caps, I shout.
Yeah,
that's the way we do that.
Yeah, that's
you got to
rule.
shout. And then the person who gets closest to the actual price without going over, they get a point. Whoever gets the most points at the end gets a fabulous no case that was written by, I think, Fred, right? And I never read them until the last second. So
Usually Fred does the no cases.
Which
yes.
means, do we have a no case?
No, we do have a no case.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right,
we got one. It's in my hands. Okay, you ready to start for the first item up to bid?
I am, but Ethan, you look a little uneasy. You ready to go in here?
I'm ready to go.
I'm going to list an item, and then you're going to say what price you think it should be. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And the listing is giant inflatable yellow elephant, life-size, commercial grade. Okay.
Thank goodness.
Giant inflatable yellow elephant, not a pink elephant, life-size commercial grade. And here is the listing. Giant inflatable yellow elephant, life-size, cold fill airbrushed. Have no idea what those words mean. Commercial grade / heavy duty, rough dimensions. 10 foot tall, 5 foot wide, 13 foot long, 2 foot diameter of footprint. Used previously in trade shows a dozen times. Attention getter. It'll also be great for consumer events. You can have your own Macy's parade.
Did it really say that?
It says it. So you can be the drunk lunatic dragging a huge inflatable elephant down your cul-de-sac.
Come on, Betsy.
You think the HOA loves you now. Okay, so we're going to start off with Ethan, the newbie. How much would you pay for this? What has this person said that they want for this quality commercial grade cold fill airbrush, whatever that means?
Well, I'll say this. There's a difference between what I think it's listed as and what I would pay for it.
Correct.
But I would go ahead and say that this is listed at $150.
$150. Sue, you seem like you're a connoisseur of inflatable things. What would you say you would give for this?
I would say $250, George.
$250. Okay. All right. Willing to up the ante. Mark.
It's commercial grade.
Mark.
That's the
commercial grade. You used to drink. You probably saw a few inflatable elephants back in the day.
Back in the 80s.
Right now, this
sure.
is not pink. This is yellow. So this is a little different from your 80s.
What are you going to do? I know what I would do.
I'm going to do 251.
That's exactly what I would do,
251.
you son of a
Well,
gun.
then, Sue, why didn't you do that?
Well, because I didn't know how high to go. And if I were last, I would have done that.
Oh, well, when you're talking about high, you're talking about Mark. Okay, here we go. Ethan said 150. Sue said 250. Mark said 251. How much, if you're listening right now, what would you pay for this fabulous elephant to be truly the center of attention in your neighborhood?
Shelly in the chat here said 3,500.
Yeah, she's probably more.
Shelly is a little over $2,000.
Oh,
look at that.
Now, that's reasonable. It's commercial grade.
Reasonable?
Yeah.
That was a very
$2,000.
tough item, though. Honestly,
Yes.
it was one of those that I had no idea if it would be just 100. My first bid before Ethan, bid, I thought 125. I thought that, but then I started thinking commercial grade.
Commercial grade. Cold fill air right there. That's what you got.
Air.
You got the cold fill air. Okay, we ready for the next item? Here we go. This is an interesting one. I like this one a lot. Polar Pop Cup Collection. Polar Pop Cup Collection. Now, I did not know this, but Polar Pop is from a convenience store. Is that true?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
I get it. It must be.
Yes.
And now I want to show you this real quick because you guys can't see it, but this is the picture. Okay. And if you can see, if you're in front of your computer, you can actually look up these items.
Wow.
It's on top of the fridge.
It's 2 words.
Oh.
The first one is whore. The second one is der.
Okay.
Wow.
Right.
Hoarder.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it's breathtaking. There's a picture of a fridge, and there are cups stacked floor to ceiling, cattywampus all over the place. And here's the listing. I have 1,060, close estimate, of 42 to 44 ounce polar cups that I have saved. These are at my office. And now my boss has decided I need to get rid of them. I don't need that kind of negativity, but he is a really cool boss, so I will accommodate. They're all clean. I would get my daily soda, and once done, I'd fill up the ice water to drink for the rest of the day. The following day, I'd get a new soda, and the old cup would be stacked in the office. This collection did come in handy for the incidental cup that would get a hole in it. I always had a backup cup.
Jeez.
There may be incidental cups from other soda pop stops. I believe there are a few Express Mart cups and a Sonic cup, but other than that, Polar Pop rules. I bet if you threw down a box of toothpicks in front of this guy, he could count them. Definitely
Can I say
312.
this? That even before bidding, this might be one of the greatest items ever on the Price is
It's
Wrong
pretty
Mark.
awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
I can't believe, you know what? If the boss of this guy is listening, you are a saint,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
The fact that it
No
didn't
kidding.
get past like 4 dirty, sticky old cups, and you were like, hey, pal, you need to get rid of these. No, he waited until there was 1,060. And the
Okay.
dude counted. Okay, so Sue, you're the first.
Oh,
bidder.
great.
What do you say?
George, where is this out of?
This
Just
is
curious.
out of Lee May. Does that tell you anything?
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right.
All right. I am going to say this person thinks this is worth a lot more than it actually is.
Right.
So I'm saying $30.
$30. 1,060 cups.
Yes.
1,060. Mark, how much would you pay to just think of the parties you could throw?
$130.
$130 trying to thread the needle. Ethan, what do you say, pal? What do you think? You got all these cups. You seem to like the ladies. You say, hey, baby, you want to come back and see my cup collection? I mean, if that's not a conversation starter, I don't know anything.
It's a lock. It's a lock.
You want to see my Polar Pop cup?
No. What is your answer, Ethan?
My PPC.
Yeah, I'm down with it.
I'm gonna roll 131.
Oh,
No way.
Look at the big brain on Brad, huh? So we got 30, 130, 131. How much would you listening pay for used, sticky, gross hoarder cups?
0.
Okay.
Yeah, 0 would be the real answer.
Actual price is $200.
Are you kidding me?
Nice
You
work.
go, Ethan.
200.
There we go. On the board, baby.
$200.
That's insane.
Oh, that is so great. Okay.
That is crazy, is what it is.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of that word crazy that goes with that listing.
I would say so.
But this next listing is awesome. This one makes my day. If you're listening, if you've had a rough day, this is going to cheer you up. I promise. You're stuck in traffic. This is going to make you laugh. This is going to make you feel, you know what? It's not so bad. And here it is. This is the listing. 20 pounds of, and I have to shout it, bacon! Because it's in caps. Remember, if it's
Of
in caps, I have
course.
to shout
Of course,
it.
yes.
Okay. And 20 pounds of bacon! And here we go. And there's a picture of it too. And it's great. It's, you know what? I got to show you this.
Yes.
It's worth it. It's totally worth it. Okay. Look, see that?
Oh, wait a minute. It's not in a package?
No, it's not in a package. So
what?
Is this legal?
Well, here's where it gets awesome. Here's where, why is this so awesome, George? Here's why it's so awesome. And the listing. I am a vegan, and my soon-to-be ex-wife
Oh, my God.
went out and purchased 20 pounds of bacon as some sort of sick joke, and I need it out of my fridge today. I don't want to throw away that much bacon, but I will if it's not gone ASAP. I am located in Midtown.
So you
Wait
remember
a minute. Is it cooked?
No, it looks like it's raw
I don't
bacon,
know,
right?
but I want to, before you guys start your bidding, I want to say, the soon-to-be ex-wife, if you're listening, I am single and interested because you sound incredibly awesome. I want to swim in your pool.
You remember when we were kids, we had Lincoln Logs? Remember Lincoln
Yeah.
Logs?
Oh, yeah.
The bacon looks like it's
Yes.
stacked like Lincoln
Yes.
Logs.
Yeah. If you're listening at home and you're thinking, oh, it's a package of bacon. Oh, no, it's not. These are long strips of bacon that it's like there's like 12 laid out and then 12 laid in the opposite direction. And they sort of look cooked, but it's hard to say. But either way, this soon-to-be ex-wife is awesome. Awesome. So, Mark, you get to bid first. What would you pay
$40
to teach a vegan a lesson?
$40. That's all I'm giving.
$40. Do you eat bacon?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, all right.
But I don't eat bacon from someone's garage, but I'd still bid $40.
It's 20 pounds of bacon. It's in the fridge.
$2 a pound.
I love that she put it in the fridge. It's so great. I wonder if she left a note. I want to know so many things.
I wonder if the health director is listening this
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Oh, you know
or the
what?
CDC.
Can't she have a little fun? This guy is wound tighter than dental floss, and she's trying to have a little fun as she walks out the door. And I love her for it. Ethan, what would you bid?
The way that the seller communicated makes me think that there is a level of desperation to get this out.
Yes.
I'm going to go with $15.
With $15. Well, see, what's interesting is he's a vegan. He doesn't like the joke. He doesn't get the humor, and he wants to make money off of it. That's what I find interesting because truth is just throw it in the trash, right? But he wants to make money.
Oh, see, I thought she was the vegan. Are you saying it was him?
No, it says I am a vegan, and in parentheses, soon to be ex-wife went out and purchased 20 pounds of bacon as some sort of sick joke.
Okay, she's going up in my estimation.
Yes, so we got 40, we got 15. What do you bid?
I'm saying $20. It's a nice number.
$20. Obviously, none of you, and I mean none of you, have ever purchased 20 pounds of bacon.
Nope.
Have you ever purchased 1 pound of bacon?
Yes.
How much is 1 pound of bacon?
It's probably like $8 right now.
It's probably like $8. Yet you guys say 15, 20, and 40.
Because it's stacked like Lincoln Logs.
That makes it cooler. And you know what? And it tastes like a grudge. And that makes it taste extra salty.
All right, are we going around again? I guess we're all over.
No, we're not. No, you're not all over. It's 15, 20, 40. Actual price, $100.
Okay. What?
No, Mark.
No, I won that one.
You don't even know what you bid.
I do, but I did the math wrong. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I'm having a terrible game.
Okay, are we moving along?
Yeah.
We got 2 more, right?
We have 4 minutes left.
Okay, we can do this. We got two more, and here we go. This next one, I don't think I've ever read something like this, and you'll never see this in a sentence again. So here we go. The listing: condoms and bread. Condoms and bread. And here's the explanation. I have no use for either anymore.
I like this person.
I like him too.
This is the best group of items ever.
I like this person a lot. I have no use for either anymore. I recently developed a gluten intolerance, and my girlfriend left me. Just trying to get some money back so I can go to the casino or Fairmount. First of all, that dude should write a country song because that is way too good. Way too good. So, all right. So now we're going to go to Ethan. Ethan, you seem like a gentleman who could use one of those 2 items.
I do love bread.
I was gonna say, and you know what? You want to eat your bread safely, so you're covered in
How much
both
of
ways.
each? I missed that.
Yeah. What's that?
How much?
I don't know if it said.
It doesn't. There's just there's a picture of a CVS bag. And it looks like a loaf of bread might be sticking out of it, and then a receipt. That's all I can tell you.
Got it. All right.
Can't tell you.
So that makes things a little bit more difficult, but the context of the bag helps a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna roll here with.
You're burning time.
I'm gonna go $8.
$8. Okay. That man has obviously never bought condoms and bread. Okay. Sue?
Well, I am going to say $25.
$25. She's ready to stock up. Okay. And Mark,
you guys are making this too easy.
We've got $8.25, and what do you say?
$26, George.
$26. Okay. Actual price. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, that sound that I just made with my face hole means somebody got it right on the nose. Sue, $25. Woo-hoo!
Wow. Good, because I was just losing.
Okay, we got to do this last one fast.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Because I looked at the clock for you. I'm good that way. Here we go. And this one is awesome. This one's awesome. Like, this is buyable. Here we go. Used pirate ship.
What?
Swear. Used pirate ship. And I'm going to do it like they wrote it, okay? You are looking at a used pirate ship for sale by the owner. She's equipped with 3 cannons and a skeleton crew. She is currently in North Carolina, but I can bring her back to my hometown of St. Louis for an extra fee. Please, serious and qualified pirates can parley with Captain Dan.
What is it? Like, what size? What is happening?
So many questions. I know, but this, and if you look at a picture, it looks like a pirate ship. This does not look like a 12-foot boat. It looks like a freaking pirate ship. So quickly, I need an answer. Sue, go.
Well, I can't tell if it's okay. $500.
$500. Mark.
$250, George.
$250 for a pirate ship.
I don't know.
Wow. Ethan.
501.
501.
Ethan, you've learned so much.
Actual price. $1,500. Somebody should buy this right now. It's amazing.
Now we got a tie. It's Ethan and Mark.
Is it?
Yeah.
We got two. Okay. I'm thinking of a number. What number is it, Ethan?
Just any number.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a number. What is it?
7.
Mark, it's your show. You win.
900.
Congratulations.
All right, hang in there. We got the no case. I think I did win anyway. We're going to go with the bonus points. We're coming back. Oh, my gosh. Who put those sick items together? I think that was producer emeritus Dave Klein. You are so sick, Dave Klein, but thank you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we do have some issues out there. Well, just volume right now. Westbound 70, moderate volume past the airport and 141, a little bit here and there in O'Fallon. Westbound 40 is slower, and that's Kings Highway out through McCausland. And then some moderate volume approaching Lindbergh through 270. Also some volume right at Clarkson, but that's in both directions. We had an earlier accident east of there that caused a delay, and then Highway N out through the 70 split. We've got southbound 55 with slow pockets south of Arsenal down through Bates. Southbound 270 is pretty much Page through Gravois in pockets, and some volume eastbound, although moderate, for the length of the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, the no case will be awarded next.
The mountains came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed that we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the van. That's what my friend said, call Jerry Kelly, man, JerryKelly.com. Give him a call, even though it's late, JerryKelly.com.
You know your customers. Ralph likes his coffee black on Fridays, but Mondays he takes a little cream. Jennifer comes in every 3 years when her lease is up to get the newer and better model. And for some reason, pepperoni pizza sells like crazy on Friday nights. Who knew? At Odyssey, we have the expertise to get your media plan done right. With ads like you're hearing right now, to targeted social media campaigns, search engine optimization, and location-based advertising. Advertise with Odyssey and help us grow your business. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Hey, it's Annie with my friend Stewie, and you know Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan gets you your mortgage or your refinance at no closing costs. And I have Stewie with me right now. You're all about saving people money. Fiscal responsibility is really in right now, and you've got something up your sleeve for these folks.
You know what, Annie? Some people like to get better cash flow. Other people just want to pay off all their debt. So we're going to do something very, very unique. In Scotland, it was traditional to paint the door red once you paid off your mortgage. So we're going to give you the Red Bagel Challenge. If you refinance with us and you consolidate your debt and you get your mortgage paid off in half the period of time remaining, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus at the end of that term.
Well, Stewie's all about helping you build your wealth and build equity, and the Bagel Loan is another way to do it. Remember, no closing costs with the Bagel Loan. Reach out to Stewie directly with 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google Bagel Loan for more information, NMLS number 226715.
Simple Minds is coming to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater next Thursday, and we're giving you a chance to win tickets on the Mark Reardon Show. Every day this week, listen for Mark to tell you when to call, be the right caller, and you'll win free tickets to see Simple Minds.
The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, George Gray is always awesome, and we love to play this game. But, I mean, that has to be in the Hall of Fame category, not only because of you, but those items were just legendary this afternoon. David Klein, producer emeritus, put those together. We got to give a shout-out to Dave. Checks in the mail and everything, but those were some great items.
Give him a Polar Pop cup. What the heck?
Yeah.
We got a Polar Pop cup coming your way. And by the way, I just heard that. Simple Minds? What?
Yeah.
I'm going to that show.
There you go.
I'm going to be in town. I'm going.
You can win free tickets on the Mark
Don't
Reardon Show.
you forget about me. Come on, Breakfast Club. That's amazing.
It is amazing. Absolutely.
Ethan, Breakfast Club was a movie.
I've seen Breakfast Club.
Made in the last century.
Barely. Barely, but yes.
Do you want to hear about the no case?
Yeah, because I won. Absolutely.
Okay, here we go, folks.
On a technicality.
I know it was a technicality.
Well,
Because you couldn't think of any number.
I wasn't thinking of a 7, so there. All right, here we go.
Every other number was Mark's.
Your no prize showcase. You've won a series of one-of-a-kind prize packages, including the New Jersey Tour. Here's your chance to fly into Newark Airport and actually help your pilot land the plane by calling up radar on your own cell phone. Once you hit the ground, head off to New Jersey's ICE detention facility, where you just might bump into several ICE officers, as well as some feisty New Jersey Congress folks. From New Jersey, head up to Vermont and hop onto Bernie Sanders' private jet and take part in the Oligarchy Tour. You may have the chance to meet and greet AOC and get her to autograph your PLO flag. And if that wasn't enough, yeah, I know somebody got really political on this one, folks. I'm reading this for the first time. Okay, and if this is Fred, but that's why. And if that wasn't enough, you'll be able to board the new Qatar $400 million luxury jet to soar across the U.S. just in time to get a tour of Alcatraz, just outside of San Francisco, where you can attempt to pin down California Governor Gavin Newsom on his rapidly changing policy positions. Boy, Fred was in a mood when he wrote this. But here, you know what? Here's the last one. This is a good one right here. As a special bonus, the St. Louis Blues 2025 Stanley Cup Tour. One stop only in Winnipeg, where you'll remain on the tarmac for just 1.6 seconds before heading back to St. Louis. That one hurts. That one hurts deeply.
Too soon.
Too soon. And that's it for The Price is Wrong. Mark,
that was a great no case. And I think sometimes we don't reveal that Fred is the person who puts those together.
Yeah.
And I mean, he does such a great job on those. And yes,
does.
George doesn't read them until the final moment.
I don't.
So that's okay. It's because you're a professional. That was really fun.
Fred was feisty right then.
He was. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in as always. How are things? How's Mama May?
Mama May is listening right now. Hi, Mama May. Hi, Judy Reardon. And she's doing fantastic. We went out for breakfast yesterday to one of our local favorite spots. And sometimes we go to Uncle Bill's and have crepes Paris. Traveling to France, huh? And then we ate today, sat out in the patio. It was wonderful, delightful. It was amazing. I love every moment I get to spend with her. So truly special.
Good. We're gonna do this again sometime this summer, and we're gonna have to go to a baseball game because we haven't really had time to hang out recently. Every time you're in town, I don't have time, and vice versa. But I'd love to see you and spend a little bit more quality time with you.
I would love it.
It would be great. But everything's going well with the show.
Did you know? Here's a bit of trivia that June 1st is National Game Show Day. Huh. Did you know that, folks?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that. And so I'm going to be in LA as of tomorrow. And I got suckered into getting up at 6 a.m. to do a radio tour. They probably have a music bed under it.
Yeah, they probably do.
There you go. There's a callback, folks. And so, yes, I'm going to be doing all these interviews for National Game Show Day.
That's going to be fun, George.
So June 1st, that is Sunday. So make sure, you I don't know, get out your Stratego game. Play it with the family.
Radio tour means George will do a series of interviews with stations all across the country, right?
So
do you know
fun.
how many by any chance?
Yeah, if you're listening, you're like, what does that really mean? Here's how it goes. You sit in your underpants, you try to wake up.
Yeah.
It's like 5:30 in the morning. You're like, why did I agree to do this? And then somebody gets on the phone with you. You go, okay, you're going to be talking to Nasty Ned and the Bubba crew.
That's exactly right.
And
they all ask the same questions.
And if they're nice, they'll say, and you talked to Nasty Ned a year ago, and you guys talked about spinach.
And you say, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get on it like, Nasty Ned, morning. And then you do the interview. It's like 2 or 3 minutes, and then you hang up, and then they put you to another city.
Right.
So
how many hours are you doing that for?
2 hours. So it's 2 hours every 10 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of talking.
That is a lot of talking. Luckily, I yap for a living.
So I always had a variety of theories on that. I either like to go early or like the last person, because I always felt like the last person you get a little bit more time. But I don't know. I think you'll be great at all of them.
What I love is when somebody asks something that's different or does something that's different, that just has fun with it. I always say, I don't care what you ask me, just do anything. Let's have fun.
Well, you're great. You're very chatty. You should do this for a living.
I'm chatty. What do you mean chatty? I'm not chatty. I could shut up anytime. Right now, I could shut up right before 55. I could wait in 14 seconds. I could shut so up you wouldn't even know what happened.
We love you. You're the best. Thank you. Hi, Mama May. We'll see you.
Love you guys.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got volume westbound 6440 Kings Highway out through McCausland. Moderate volume approaching Lindbergh on out through 270. Eastbound still slowing at Clarkson, and then some volume out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 is your best bet. It's a little bit of moderate volume past the airport in O'Fallon and in Wentzville, but it's better than 6440. And southbound 270, most of the volume there is from Page down through Manchester. Southbound 170 slows headed down towards 64. And we've got volume southbound 55 headed for Bates in the construction zone and both directions of the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Special savings opportunities and federal tax credits are available. So call 314-756-9444 or visit online at scottleeheating.com.
You know, we've all saved money for retirement, but some of us think, ooh, you know what? This is getting closer. And do I have an actual plan? I mean, I know that I'm supposed to save. I've done that. But now what? This is why I love this idea of a one-night, 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101, where you can learn some of this stuff. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have so much experience with financial planning that they'll talk about this stuff. Here's how to reduce your taxes. Here's an idea about maximizing your Social Security. And you can listen and learn and then decide, okay, I want to let them manage my money, or just leave and say, I think I at least have a better handle on it. But it's free. And all you have to do is bring 3 canned goods from St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a handful of openings for this month and next, but you do need to register. So call 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012.
There are a few things that I can guarantee, but I can almost guarantee, I think I can guarantee, you're going to hear that on the 4th of July when we do the best ofs for the next time, because that was very, very epic, what you just heard. Awesome fun from George Gray.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
Susan L. Ward is a family practice attorney, by the way, with a new office here near 270 in Manchester. They just opened up a brand new office. She's a family practice attorney. Now, that kind of is translated oftentimes into divorce attorney, but it's a lot more than that because it can be complicated. It can be something that involves businesses, so she can handle divorce and financial planning, alimony, spousal support, divorce and business, high asset divorces, division of property, and then, of course, parenting plans and things like that. And even in the aftermath of the divorce, I've mentioned this before, long time ago, but I was divorced in Wisconsin, but my family, my kids, and my ex-wife moved here. The plan was always to get back to St. Louis. I did get back to St. Louis, but when I came back here, I had to do a different parenting plan. And by the way, the laws are different in every state, so you might be surprised by the difference if you were divorced in another state. She can help you with all of this, and she can do it in an expert way here in St. Louis. The way to get a hold of them, a couple of different ways. I think the website is the easiest. If you go to stlfamilylaw.com, there's a confidential confidential consultation form, and you can also call 314-783-9400. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Custody. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Texas Department of Public Safety has released video of a pursuit and arrest of 2 of the remaining New Orleans jail escapees.
In Walker County, Texas, north of Houston Monday. Dozens of police cars from multiple jurisdictions in hot pursuit of a white rented SUV carrying Jermaine Donald and Leo Tate, 2 of 10 inmates who escaped the New Orleans Justice Center May 16th. The pair stopped by force and taken into custody. Another escapee, Lenton Van Buren, was arrested Monday in Baton Rouge during a traffic stop, leaving 2 of the 10 escaped inmates still on the run.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. New Orleans police say they've also arrested the sister of fugitive Antoine Massey. She was taken into custody yesterday. The Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to halt an order allowing migrants to challenge their deportations to South Sudan. Judge Brian Murphy in Boston found the White House violated a court order with the flight to South Sudan, which was carrying people from other countries convicted of crimes in the U.S. Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville ending weeks of speculation, announcing on Fox's Will Cain show that he's running for governor of Alabama.
We're going to grow Alabama. We're going to bring manufacturing to the state. We're going to stop this illegal immigration. We're going to make education better again.
Tuberville, an ally of President Trump, entered politics in 2020 after a successful career as head football coach of Auburn and 3 other major college programs. Current Governor Republican Kay Ivey is term limited. The Trump administration asking federal agencies to cancel contracts with Harvard University worth about $100 million. Meanwhile, a federal judge said to take up arguments this week on Harvard's ability to enroll foreign students. America's listening to Fox News.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Not much going on weather-wise this evening, though mostly cloudy skies in play. I still can't rule out a spot shower here and there, but it's fairly limited. 58 for the overnight low. Evening temperatures will be in the mid to upper 60s. Wednesday, partly sunny. Have to call it nice, 76. But if you run into a sprinkle, let's not be surprised. But it's primarily another dry day. Wednesday night, partly cloudy, 55. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I heard Dave hedging there just a little bit. Chance of rain means it can rain. I mentioned when the boys from Louisville came up for the baseball game the other day, there was literally a 10 or 11% chance of rain, and then it was raining by the time they got here. Let's talk about New Perspective Senior Living. Change is not easy. It's not easy at all, but it can be beautiful. And sometimes it's exactly what you need. And that's where New Perspective Senior Living in Weldon Spring comes into play, because transitions are not smooth sometimes, but they can be beautiful. They're located out in Weldon Spring. It's a brand new senior living community. It feels more like a resort than it does a residence. It is beautiful, beautiful 1 and 2 bedroom apartments that are big and very, very modern. You know, you get everything that you would want. The stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, big walk-in closets as well. So if you're looking for independent living, or maybe you have a mom and dad or a sister or brother or someone in the family, independent living, assisted living, and they have a memory care facility, New Perspective gives you the freedom to live the life you really love with the right support that you need. Beautiful apartments, amazing dining, a lot of activities, and a team, a very professional, focused team that is helping you really to kind of make sure that you live life on purpose. So if you're ready to see how beautiful a fresh start can be out in Weldon Spring, call 636-229-1111 or the website N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, npseniorliving.com for New Perspective Senior Living in Weldon Spring.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Under Law.
There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Under Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Under Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Lifestyles Unlimited member Chad on the life-changing rewards of real estate investing.
Whenever you have residents coming in thanking you for taking what was dull and drab and turning it around, making their lives better, that's definitely a blessing.
Become a life changer today with Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297. A 60% off savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. Saying what you're thinking. Mark Reardon.
Because the aforementioned Fred Bottomer is not here, it's been a little bit harder for me to catch up on things today, but we did have Mary Elizabeth Coleman, the state senator, shared this with me. I guess the Supreme Court did reinstate some of the abortion law that was passed last year, so we're going to probably get caught up on that tomorrow. A little bit later in this hour, we have Elliott Davis, former Fox 2 reporter. You know, to say he's retired, he's not really retired because he's doing some great independent journalism over on Facebook, etc. We'll get an update on the tornado siren story and a bunch of other things related to the city and the mayor. Elliott is on top of that. Right now, Peder Zane back with us, editor at Real Clear Investigations. He writes at Real Clear Politics. Peter, how are you? Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm doing great. Actually, it's my birthday today, and I'm going out to dinner with my wife at a too expensive restaurant, which I hope she's going to pay for.
Well, yeah, of course. Happy birthday. That's outstanding.
Thank you.
How would you say, let me share a little story with you, because I want your opinion of where we are in this administration right now. And I want to talk about some media stuff, but I made the mistake, and I probably should not have done this. But last week I reached out to a friend of mine, and it was a guy that I have known for, I'd say 25 years. He became a friend in Milwaukee. And the one thing that we bonded on was Bruce Springsteen. I've been a fan of Springsteen since 1981 when I saw him here at the Checker Dome. And what I've said on the air, and I've said over the years, because people, you work on a conservative radio station, people tease you about someone like that. And I've said, look, I've seen the guy in concert in the mid 40s, like 45, 46 times. And the number of times I've heard him preach to me about politics is very, very few times. Now, I know where his politics are, right? I know he hangs with Obama. I know that the songs certainly have political meanings. But what I said to this friend is he lost me because I feel like it's intellectually dishonest. And I understand people don't like Trump, and I get the behavior thing. I never liked Trump either. But I felt like it was intellectually dishonest that someone like Springsteen, and, I guess we see Scott Pelley doing this at a graduation, rips on this administration, but paid zero attention to the dude that was barely functioning for 4 years and probably beyond that. And it was all covered up. And that doesn't even touch the cancer diagnosis thing. It doesn't touch David Zweig's book on COVID, which just came out. So it's really difficult for me to believe anything when it comes to the media these days. But what happened is the friend did not react well. I thought this guy, and he had been on my side of politics, but he said, look, I hated Biden, but I hate Trump and his band of assholes. So there is a lot of that going on. And I don't even know where that puts the American people, Peter, if that makes sense, because there's a lot of stress. People have their opinions. They're dug into their holes. What success level is the administration having? Because I see a guy that's doing a lot more than any other president's done. You might not like it all, but he's getting shit done, right?
Can you say that? Yeah, well,
probably can't say that, but I said it anyway, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack there. But to respond to one thing you just said. So I was at dinner on Saturday with a guy who was complaining about Trump's tariffs, and no economist thinks the tariffs are a good idea. And I said, I'm a free trade guy from way back, so I don't like tariffs either. But I said, how do you feel about union contracts that force people to pay a prevailing wage? What's the difference between a tariff, which is a sort of coercive way to affect prices that's outside the market, and unions and prevailing wage and whatever? Oh, I don't know. And I'm not even saying I'm right on that, but in other words, he couldn't even enter into a discussion about that. But I said, let's just take a step back. Whatever you're saying about the economy, we owe $38 trillion. The interest on the debt alone is over $1 trillion. So I give Trump credit, at least. I don't know that he's really going to fix it, but for at least returning that to the conversation. Because honestly, what you're complaining about is small beer in some ways compared to the massive problems that we have that nobody outside of Trump has even thought to address in Washington. So I give him credit I give Trump tremendous credit for at least introducing certain ideas. Whether he'll actually make any headway in fixing how inefficient the government is, because that to me was really what the whole DOGE effort. They didn't save a lot of money, but it's like how messed up the entire accounting system is, how they have no tags to know where expenditures were going. The failure of the Pentagon to pass any audits. That at least is something we ought to be talking about.
You wrote a column that goes back a few weeks, and I want you to explain this. It talked about, and I remember Elon talking about this a little bit at a news conference, the sign-in button on the IRS homepage, which wasn't where it was supposed to be, right?
Right. It was the sign-in button, in general, you go to a website, it's in the upper right-hand corner, and that's just where we are trained to look for it. It doesn't mean that we're incapable of finding it on the middle of the page where it was, and it was not that hard to find, but it was like a stupid place to have the button. So the Doge team said, let's just move the button to where the sign-in buttons are on almost every other website. 107 days. They then got the guy to just forget the rules, and they did it in 71 minutes. But it's just if we can replace that. Marco Rubio was talking about, and I forget what it was, but he said there was some form, it needed 40 signatures before it can go through the system.
But just to go,
signature number 35 isn't there. It just sits. I mean, who thinks these things up?
Well, I want to highlight this again in case people missed it. So it's a button you would think, oh, that's an easy fix. And in the end, it was 71 minutes. But the IRS engineer estimates that it would take 103 days or 107 days just to move the button. That's just stunning that would be the response.
Well, because of all the people that need to sign off and all the agreements. So, if you think about it, you're making a major change to some degree on the website of the IRS homepage. So think how many people want to have a say on whether or not that gets done. I mean, it's ridiculous. It just, and I think that like I say, I am not convinced that he has reformed government in any meaningful way, but I appreciate at least making us for a while, and hopefully we will continue to do this, to talk about these things. I think he's been really successful also. I don't know that I agree that Harvard should have all their money taken away or, all these people being removed from the government, but there's been massive institutional takeover by the left. They control all of these institutions, and they are what they think and do is probably rejected by 75% of the American people. So I don't know how you dislodge what we call the elites, what we call the deep state, from the government. But I know that what they do is often at cross purposes, not always, but a lot of times to what the American people want. And taking all the money away from Harvard, I mean, is that, if you just looked at it in isolation, is that a good idea? Maybe not. But do we need to do something to give these people a wake-up call? Because how they're training America's youth is wrong? Yes.
Yeah. So I agree with that. And on the Harvard front, I think that the number that sticks out is the $53 billion endowment, because I don't care what Harvard does. They can do whatever they want. But should they do it on the taxpayer dole when they have that much sitting in an account? Now, I suppose there are people from Harvard, the regents or professor would say, look, we are putting, and I'm sure that there's some money that's going there that is being put to good use for research, for science, for things that we need in the future. There's no doubt about that. But to your point, there's so much brainwashing that goes on. And I'll give you just a small example. And my audience has heard me tell this story about this journalism professor at Mizzou. I had this amazing audio that I was going to share. And then the father of the young man who shared it kind of panicked because, and I got it. He didn't want his, kid to have any retribution. But I can quote you. One of the things that this professor, who's a journalism professor, said on the day after the election is, capitalism is idiotic. That's a direct quote. Right. Capitalism is idiotic. And that's not an isolated situation at the University of Missouri. That's the majority of these people in academia and what they think.
Right. Yeah. And, so on the one hand, this is what these people who spend a lot of time looking at things and thinking have come to believe. So I will respect that to some extent. But on the other hand, they've also created a mafia where, in the last 40 years, they only hire like-minded people. So you start to get just this consensus of views through not having academic freedom. So that's another thing. So, all of these ideas get pushed out. Due process, rule of law, academic freedom. And they're all wonderful principles that I think conservatives would heartily endorse, except that they become corrupted. And so when you've corrupted academic freedom, so that it's a tool to exclude actual freedom of thought, then it needs to be attacked. When you're using due process to make the claim that people who have come into this country illegally should get a lawyer paid for them for 5 years to go through a court system that may or may not figure out what's going on with them, you're abusing what due process is, in my opinion. And I think that so one of the things that I try to do with my liberal friends when we're having these discussions is don't just say rule of law. Don't just say due process. What do you mean by that? Do you think every person who got a foot over the border here deserves Clarence Darrow to defend them on the taxpayer's dime? I mean, well, what do you mean by it? And they often have no answer.
Right. Well, like I've quoted Batyangar Sargon, who's a guest on this show. She was on Laura Ingram's show as I was driving home like a week ago. And she said, and this kind of goes back to my original point about trusting the media, because we would maybe in different, situations be able to have discussions about these topics and have legitimate debates. But Batya said something like, this is a media that paid more attention to a fake P-tape than 11 million people coming over the border. So going back to the point that I was making with my friend, and it didn't end well because I thought he was going to agree with me and he did not. And then I said, look, dude, I apologize because I wasn't trying to start anything. I was just trying to make a point about Springsteen, because I think it's intellectually dishonest to not pay attention to the things that have happened. And now we're in this period in the last 2 weeks where all of this has come out that a lot of us, Peter, you've written about it. A lot of us have known things that were going on behind the scenes that CBS and CNN and ABC, they never wanted to touch. So on this front, don't you just kind of feel, let's just talk about Doge. They don't want to talk about actual cuts or fraud and abuse. They just cannot wait to tell people, oh, he didn't really save any money or this happened. That's their sole motivation. Why wouldn't a Democrat or someone that just has a brain say, you know what, we need to look at some of these standard operating procedures, just the inefficiencies in government. This is about time we have this conversation. I mean, we should have had it 40 years ago and we've maybe tried, but we're actually having the conversation. But they don't want any part of that because they hate this guy so much.
They're so dug in, and they're so committed to all the rotten things that they've said about him that they can't all of a sudden turn around and say, oh, well, he's a decent guy. I would say one of the, or he's somebody who might have a point. I mean, I would say one of the other really difficult issues is as somebody who's in the media, who reads all these websites all the time, it's very frustrating to me. You take the stories about, Trump and crypto and the money and, the meme coin dinner and all of that. And there's a lot there that really just doesn't sit right with me. But I don't trust the New York Times and the New Yorker when they're telling me that he's, this kleptocrat, and in part because they did it all before. But, so it's frustrating because you're reading information, and I don't just want to be a closed-minded person that dismisses everything they say. But on the other hand, I have no basis for trusting them.
Right. Well,
and
so
that's very frustrating.
And it's sad too. I think it's sad in the end. So what happened, let me just go back to this conversation, because really it caught me off guard that my friend reacted the way that he did. And then I apologized and he accepted, my apology. But what I said was, look, how do you trust? Because he said, look, what Trump is doing, this is a quote from the text, what Trump is doing on a daily basis is abhorrent and to me deserves any and all criticism. Okay, that's fair. But there was none of that criticism from the other guy. There was none of that criticism on Kamala. And I can't trust a damn thing that comes out of the Washington Post or the New York Times or a lot of these other outlets. So where does that leave us? I mean, how do you even have conversations that are civil and that can get things actually solved in this country? I mean, that leaves us in a very, very sad place. And, you can say whatever you want about Trump. I've said this before. When he said the media is the enemy of the people, I thought that was ridiculous. I no longer think that's ridiculous. And even in the aftermath of Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book, I played a piece of audio from a week ago. It was a week ago today that was on PBS. And if I would have played that audio to you and said, hey, when did this discussion take place? You would have said a year ago. But it was in the aftermath of all these revelations coming out. So they're still covering this stuff up, acting like it didn't happen. And they know that the audience isn't going to pay attention to the other stuff because they hate Trump so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really are hitting on a really difficult situation, because There is no having a conversation with them. They have, and again, I think they've almost, I always use the analogy of Tawana Brawley was a big scandal, this young woman who claimed that she had been abducted and raped because she was afraid because she didn't come back home that her her stepfather would get mad at her. And it was a huge thing in New York in the 80s. And Al Sharpton made his bones there and a couple of other people. And I think at some point they knew Tawana Brawley was lying. But they were too invested in her story to admit it. And I really think that what's just happened with the media and the left is that they are so invested in the Trump negative story that they can't have a rational conversation with you. I was talking to somebody just the other day, and I said, because what they always say is, well, both sides lie, both sides do this. And I said, look, Russiagate, the Hunter Biden laptop, COVID lab leak, Joe Biden being a sentient person. I said, these are massive lies that the left has perpetrated and the media. What is an equivalent that Republicans lie, everybody lies. What's an equivalent? Just one thing. Well, I can't name it right now. And I said, you can't because there isn't.
Look, I'll give you even more of a real life example that happened yesterday or Sunday. I can't remember. That was the anniversary of George Floyd. Now, they're still not telling you the whole story. Liz Collins has been a guest on this show before. She did a great film called The Fall of Minneapolis. Even if you watch the first 10 minutes, I'd love to have some of my left-wing friends sit down and watch the first 10 minutes of that movie to see the actual body cam from the convenience store and other things that we were lied to. And yesterday, they're celebrating this guy again, not sharing the whole story. But to your point, it's another story that they were so heavily invested in. Mike Brown here in St. Louis. There are still people that believe hands up, don't shoot. Giant. Yeah, they still believe that to this day because that was the narrative.
Going back, I live in North Carolina, the Duke lacrosse case. And that's another point is that, and this is where, why it makes sense to go after Harvard in a way. I think that the colleges, the elite colleges, have corrupted our leaders so much that they just embrace a false narrative about how the world works, and they're not smart enough. And that is all I can conclude. They are not smart enough to find a way out of it. Because you would think after Duke lacrosse, Michael Brown, that they would start to go, well, wait a minute. I don't think the media is being straight with me. They did a story the other day, the New York Times, on police shootings since George Floyd of people have gone up. Okay. And you're reading the story and you're like, wow, well, one thing that would tell me is despite all the things that you did, maybe in fact, most of these police shootings were totally legitimate and the number didn't go down because this is what happens when you're out there policing people who want to hurt you. So deep in the story, there was a little line and it said the police shootings of unarmed suspects has declined by 2/3.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
So that should have been the lead of the story, is that there was a fraction of the deaths at police hands that were of unarmed people, and it was started a couple of years before George Floyd, but since then it has gone down. That's a real triumph. But they buried that and instead wanted to pretend that, mostly red state cops are just, it's killing season.
Well, when we had Cori Bush here, she would do these profile interviews. It was in our local paper, it'd be in the Washington Post. She'd make these claims. Our former mayor did the same thing. Many African-American leaders, they're killing our black boys. Are you kidding me? It's not the cops. And even the Washington Post, if you dig in, they've kept this data since, I think, Mike Brown, where they chart all the police shootings. Go and open that thing up. Read the context of what actually happened. And the amount of times that there was an unarmed or there wasn't an actual threat to the cops is minuscule. Now, that's not to say there weren't bad cops. And we know that the history, if you go back, certainly before things were kept on camera, there were people that were treated atrociously. And those cops should be punished for that. But it's the narrative doesn't fit the facts. That's the bottom line.
Right. And yet they continued to advance it. And they continue to, and that again, I think that the real lesson of this Biden story is, why did they do this? Because they thought they could get away with it. And let's be honest, if she had won, who would have been writing these stories?
Nobody. Certainly not Jake Tapper, That's for damn sure. I'll tell you that. Hey, I feel like I got you all worked up on your birthday, Peder Zane, but happy birthday. Enjoy the dinner with your wife. Love to have you. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Thank you. Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute. If you are a westbound 70 driver, things look great out of downtown. Now, there's a little bit of volume out west right at Highway K and then Highway A out through Wentzville, but that's it. Moderate volume on westbound 64. That lines up Kings Highway out through McCausland. 170 out through 270. Slowing again on either side of Clarkson and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 270, mainly moderate volume there too, but it's in pockets from Page down through 44. And southbound 170 slows at 6440. We've also got volume southbound 55 in the construction zone, especially headed for Bates. Quiet, though, on the bridges. If you're headed into Illinois, now's the time. It looks really good. This report is brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. Sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk.
Elliott Davis coming up here in a couple of minutes. Plus, we have audio cut of the day. What if I were to offer you an opportunity to have your very own car expert? If you needed to buy a car, if you needed to sell a car, if you needed to find a collectible car, a cool car, if you wanted a Corvette or a Harley, I can do that for you right now. MasterCars Inc. They're in Granite City. They have a ton of experience. This is what they have a passion for. It's a father and son team. Alex and Gary Rosenberger. Alex is the son. Gary is the father. I met them a decade ago, and I put them to use as my car expert when my sons needed a car, when I needed a car, my wife needed a car, with some of my family members that have been here in St. Louis and Nice. MasterCars Inc. can help you. And if they don't have something on their website right now, it's not like a traditional car lot. They may not have it on the lot. They can find it for you, and they can get it here to St. Louis. And you can also sell them a vehicle. If you have a great caliber, mint condition car or great condition, they'll buy it for you. You can trade it in the same way you can do at another dealership, but they simplify the process. When you meet these guys too, they have such a passion for what they do. I've been in the office over with Alex in particular, and he's, at auction bidding on cars and trying to figure out the best price point. We've worked together on a couple of vehicles, and he's like, well, if we can get something at this, it's worth it. If we can't get it there, then you might want to look at something else. I trust them. You should too. MasterCars Inc. They're in Granite City at mastercarsinc.com.
We all know spring weather means spring storms. Mark Cox here for Hanson's Tree Service. Now's the time to remove any dead or hazardous trees over your home before the spring storms bring them down. It's a great time to have an arborist come out and put together a plant health care program for your trees and shrubs. You can also order mulch and compost directly from the website and have it delivered to your driveway. Just go to hansonstree.com. Again, that's hansonstree.com.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
97.1 FM Talk. Saying what you're thinking. Mark Reardon.
Well, Sue's not in the studio here, but she always takes a walk in Forest Park, and tonight is the night that she's taking a walk in Forest Park. And I have not been over there to see the devastation. Obviously, I've seen some video and some pictures. Elliott Davis is here, retired Fox 2 investigative reporter. He's doing great work, independent journalism on Facebook and elsewhere. We're going to talk a little bit about the aftermath of the tornado, and it's just devastating for so many people. I haven't seen, Elliott, a lot of the visual damage myself because I live in a part of West St. Louis County that does not have or didn't have a lot of damage, but this is really putting the hurt on a lot of people, and you've been out there one-on-one talking to some of the victims. I know that. How are you this afternoon?
Good. I've been out there every day.
Yeah.
I think I retired at the right time, and that allows me to be able to be out there almost from morning till the evening, covering various stories. I mean, even though I cover the officials like the mayor's news conference, I've focused a lot of my time on being out there in the community with the people, talking to people whose home has been leveled. We talked to one lady, for example, who pitched a tent next to her destroyed home. Her house was just no more than just a lot of bricks, basically. And she pitched a tent because it was her property, and that's where she wanted to live. We were able to get her some help in her situation. She hadn't seen any city officials come by there to check on her. She needed a porta potty, elderly lady, but she needed some help, and it was a real challenge. And that's the whole thing that a lot of these people are saying who their homes have been destroyed. Many of them, a lot of them have dealt with a lot of damage, but they say they have not seen city officials out there to talk to them. In fairness, the city has been very active from night one of the storm. They were out there, first responders were, but their primary mission in the beginning was trying to save lives, trying to save people who may be buried under the rubble.
So I have a niece who lives here in St. Louis. She's got a boyfriend. They live in separate apartments, and the boyfriend's apartment was pretty much flattened. And, you know, he talked to his landlord, I think, in the immediate aftermath of the storm. And here we are a couple weeks later, and there's no communication with the landlord. Now, I bring that up because he is able to stay with my niece. And that's a good thing for him, right? And Jeff Rainford was on my show last week. He had to stay at some friends' homes as well. So there's that part of the situation where some people have friends, they have family members, they have resources. But there's a whole hell of a lot of people that you've been talking to out there. They don't have that. That kind of goes to the issue of pitching the tent, right? What do? They don't have anything else they can do at this point.
It's a challenging situation. Today, for example, the Board of Aldermen held an emergency meeting. At that meeting, they started the process of passing a bill to give some help to some tenants paying first month's rent, last month's rent, and others who may not be forced out of their homes. It would give them, I think it would pay rents of something of between $500 and about $900. That's what the bill sponsor, Rasheen Aldridge, told me. And so that would help them to a limited extent, but the fund only has $160,000 in it. And so they're really limited on the number of people that they can help. I think 5,000 buildings were damaged in this whole thing. And so a lot of them, obviously, people can't live in. And so one of the real questions is trying to figure out, how do you help these people? A lot of these people, they're in survival mode. Many don't have a house. Many are staying other places. But many, even their relatives, didn't have resources. And so you have people who are trying to stay with other people. And even though they didn't have that kind of tornado damage, they're still poor and struggling. One of the things that I've been pushing, and I've been doing, talk to all of it about it, talk to the mayor about it. What about using the Rams settlement money?
That's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
They have $290 million in that Ram settlement money. And I said, well, why can't you give the people who've lost homes or people who can't get in their homes a $2,000 stipend just to help them survive? The answer I get is that we're studying it. We're looking, everything is on the table. I asked the mayor, and today I asked the alderman at their meeting about that same question. So they've got the two bills, one, a bill to give them something, and it would also freeze property taxes, I think. But the big thing is that, what about this Rams money? It's not been spent. It's just been sitting in the bank. $290 million. If you're not going to use some of it now, then when? Carve out $2 or $3 million to help these people. It can go a long way to helping these people survive. I don't know if they're going to do it or not.
But it's one of those issues. Let's take the tornado out of it, because we've talked a lot about that Rams settlement money up until the point of this tornado. It's baffling that in the aftermath of this, we can't, unfortunately, we can get to the siren issue here. One of the things that I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago, we can't, get 911 calls answered. We can't get trash picked up, right? We know what happened during the snowstorm. And now we can't press a damn button to tell people that a tornado is coming. And sorry, for me, that represents so much, sadly, about what this city has become. Now, I'm not tagging Kara with any of this. She's a new mayor that's got a lot on her plate, and I think she's doing an okay job right now based on what I know. But there were a lot of things that built up to this that the Board of Aldermen won't accept any responsibility for and could have at least gotten ahead of. I'm not talking about tornado damage. I'm just talking about everything else.
Well, you wonder, how do we get in such a situation like this at SEMA, where what Kara Spencer found out, Mayor Spencer found out in her investigation, was there was not correct protocol on who was supposed to push the button and when stuff was supposed to happen. And so the director of SEMA and her staff were at a workshop the day of the storm. They're at a workshop, right, when there are all kinds of storm warnings out. Now, how does that figure? How do you do that, right? Big storm's coming. Well, let's have a workshop.
Well, not only a workshop, and you and I could either agree or disagree on this, but I would say it was a woke workshop. And in some of the wording from the website, that Joe Hallman exposed, just makes you say, are you kidding me that that's where they were when this happened?
That's when they were when it happened. And it points to the lack of urgency at SEMA. They have to know the system, the protocol hadn't been completed, that there were gaps in the system. They had to know that, but didn't correct it, didn't do everything that was necessary. So we'd have an absolutely flawless as can be when trouble struck. We knew it was coming. That's the thing about it. It was a matter of pushing a button. Well, they had two buttons, one in SEMA, one at the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
One at the fire department didn't work. But in SEMA, you would have thought, we know a storm is coming. Let's make sure we are there. One thing that I would say that if there is a bright light on this whole thing is how the community has come together. I've been over in North St. Louis to all these areas where the heaviest damage is. You have residents who will take it upon themselves to go to Walmart or Sam's or someplace else and get water and toiletries and everything just to stand on the street corner and give it out to folks. And so you have that happening all over in neighborhoods that normally are known for just trouble and violence and all those kinds of things. But you've had in these same neighborhoods people just coming up. I was driving down the street, I think it was West Florissant, and they had on every corner somebody giving out stuff, somebody helping. And this is what has really kept these tornado sufferers going. People who have lost their homes have been damaged. This is really what's kept them going, is getting that generosity of their north side neighbors, and people have come from the outside, but predominantly it's been the people from North St. Louis that has come out. All kinds of just folk. I was at Peter and Paul Community Services together. It's a big homeless shelter. They are taking in 100 people who lost their homes or homes are severely damaged. And I went over there. I interviewed one of the people who was over there. But let me mention this, by the way. They're having a big fundraiser, and anybody who wants to donate can go to Peter and Paul STL, and they'll get all the information on it. But you have so many people. The Urban League, Mike McMillan, they had a huge food giveaway. 3,000 people were fed, right? They get boxes of food, toiletries, everything to last them. And that was held on this Saturday. They're going to do it every Saturday for 4 Saturdays. Hope Nation International Church, they've been having cooking dinners every single day, giving away a lot of items across from apartment buildings that everybody was thrown out of, couldn't go to their homes and had to go to the shelter. So many St. Louisans are stepping forward to deal with this that has been the worst disaster, one of the worst disasters in the city's history.
Doesn't it kind of, one of the things I'm disappointed in the news business, and better than I do probably, but we did not get hardly any national attention on this disaster. I mean, some of it came because of the siren, fiasco, but we just didn't get a lot of focus. I'm going to have the Red Cross on tomorrow. That kind of hurts us when it comes to people, because people in this country are generous. We've helped out here in St. Louis when there's been hurricanes in North Carolina or in Florida. People would want to help, but man, we did not get on the map for this terrible, terrible tornado.
Pretty much, I can't explain it. I think obviously St. Louis is a major city. How often does a tornado touch down in a major city like this? So I really can't understand why it didn't happen. It hit in a poor area. I don't know if that was a factor. It hit in a pretty poor African-American area. Was that a factor? I don't know. Could it have been? Possibly. But I do not know why it didn't get the coverage. Now, the same tornado could have hit in some other areas and it gotten all kinds of coverage.
Yeah. How do you think Mayor Spencer is doing, either inside of this or outside of this? Only a month on the job, though.
Okay. You know me, I came on the radio a number of times before this disaster hit, and I was pretty much slamming Mayor Spencer about law enforcement, about many other things. I was slamming her about being a progressive. I think Mayor Spencer has done a good job. I think she's done a top-flight job. I think that people often are born for a moment in life. This may be hers. She seems to have risen to the challenge. Just, for example, the FEMA director, when the siren screw-up happened, she wasted no time in suspending that person from the job. She has been out there in the community, walking around, checking on what she could and having a news conference every day so that we in the media can ask her questions about any issue, every issue, whether it was the FEMA money, the National Guard, and when the money was going to get to people. Every issue, she's been there. She's been talking about it. She hasn't dodged questions like this. She handled the siren issue, for example. Right. She says, even though it did not happen on her watch, what impressed me is she says, I accept responsibility. And it didn't even happen on her watch. It happened on the last person.
Right. Well, Sue and I had talked about this because one of the things that I said, and I like Kara personally, and, she's been on the show a few times, but I didn't know if she would have, this word gravitas is used or really prove herself as a leader. And I'm with you. I think she has stepped up and she's really done a good job in a very emotional situation and in a tough situation. So this has certainly been a test.
A month on the job.
Right.
Don't forget that.
Well, I know. So she's been tested more than probably a lot of mayors would ever be tested in a month on a job. But I think she's doing well, and I think she has support to solve some problems. Look, honestly, I'm more worried about the BOA because that's where I think things get kooky.
How about the Board of Aldermen?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. They like I said, they had an emergency meeting today. I was there, of course. And the emergency meeting was taking up these two measures. I think they could have done more. I mean, they're saying, okay, we're going to give people this money, renters this money, and some other people can apply, but it's only $160,000 in the fund. Well, the need is going to be much greater than that. And so is this all you can do? Is come up with something with a fund of $160,000. To his credit, Alderman Rasheed Aldridge says they're going to ask Mayor Spencer to kick $1 million more into that fund to make it $1,160,000. So that's that's a little bit more promising. And I would have said, well, why don't you guys do all this from the start? And the other is that, well, we're going to help try to give you a break on property taxes. My view would have been, guys, we got $290 million in the Rams fund sitting there doing nothing. Why don't we carve out $10 million of it to help people in this situation? And help people with hotels or give cash stipends or whatever we can do. We can carve out $10 million. You can go a long, long way. But nobody's doing anything like that yet. And they're saying, well, we're going to get to that. People are struggling.
People need help now. They need help now, right?
They really do every single day.
Elliott, keep on them and guide people in. I follow you on Facebook. Is that the best place to find the content these days?
That's the best. Yeah. Or you can just call me on the phone.
Well, I know.
On my cell phone. So there we go.
Elliott Davis TV on Facebook. Thank you, Elliott. Always great. Thank you. I appreciate it. We got audio cut of the day coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads right now, it's not terrible. And if you are just headed out, just know that we've got a little bit lighter volume today, but there is a slow spot or two. So westbound 70 past the airport. In fact, we do have an accident reported now before you get to Cypress. And then things open up to the west. We've got 64 looking fine at Hampton, but there is some moderate volume through Chesterfield Valley and Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through 70. Still some moderate volume on southbound 270. That's approaching Olive down through Manchester, and 55 a little slow at Bates. We looked fine at the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
All right, let's talk about indoor gatherings and how your flooring looks in your home. And if you need new flooring, they can help you out at Michael's Flooring Outlet here in St. Louis. They have 3 awesome locations. They have amazing products. I would suggest to you, if you are thinking about putting in new carpeting, taking out old carpeting, if you're thinking about replacing hard flooring with carpeting or vice versa. I did the vice versa thing last week. I want you to count on Michael's because they do such a great job here with those 3 great locations. The best way to do it would probably be go to step into St. Peter's or Darien Prairie or or West County on Olive. I'm doubling up on the locations because they have the experts there. It's a different experience than a big box store. You go into a big box store, there's probably some good employees there. They don't have the depth of experience that they have at Michael's. Mike Reynolds is very proud of his experience. He's proud of the team that he's put together. If you go to the website, you can find out really everything that you would need to know, the promos, the products. You can upload a picture, match your decor. I don't think there's anything like though going in, looking at some samples, talking to the experts, what's right for your lifestyle. There's different price points. You can do these projects on a budget. They can help you with that. They're open every day of the week except for Sunday. Again, Old Town St. Peter's. They're in Darien Prairie in West County on Olive. The website, IGotFloor.com for Michael's Flooring Outlet.
Start your summer with a weekend showdown. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers roll into Busch Stadium June 6th through the 8th. Be there Friday for a cool new promo, the first ever Cardinals neck fan. Perfect for hot game days. Then on Sunday, young fans 15 and under take home a Rawlings Kids Glove. It's a weekend of big matchups and big giveaways. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Mason Wynn, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Loop.
The school year is finally over and it's summer vacation for all our teachers. Celebrate at Busch Stadium. Teachers Night presented by Millipore Sigma is back at the ballpark on Monday, June 9th. With the purchase of a special theme ticket, you can take home an exclusive teachers-inspired Cardinals jersey featuring the birds on a pencil. As a special treat, the first drink of the summer is on the Cardinals. That's Monday, June 9th. Teachers Night at the ballpark. For tickets and details, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is Steven Matz, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Loop.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Well, you can find out how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You will learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing your Social Security income, paying for health care, all of it. And there's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. Now, there are a handful of openings for the classes this month and next. Just register by calling 314-947-2012. 314-947-2012. It's the Sue Thomas number, 314-947-2012. 2012.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res, and let me give you a little incentive and inspiration to get your home really, really clean the right way. And it's not just about the carpet cleaning, although that's what they really specialize in. They're professional carpet cleaners. They've been in St. Louis and in Missouri for a long time, but Zero Res can handle every surface in your home: carpets, tile and grout, hardwood, laminate, stone, upholstery, rugs, and air ducts. And you know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any of the dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that other carpet cleaners use. Don't risk the other guys. Don't do DIY. I've made that mistake. Your carpets are going to be worse off in the long run. So this month, take advantage of a great offer. Get 3 rooms, Zero Resified from St. Louis's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner, starting at $129, and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean air. Call Zero Res right now, 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Say you want the Mark Reardon or the 97.1 FM Talk Special. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Have a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day weekend. We will have Fox News programming Monday morning. We'll see you Tuesday at 5 a.m.
The Mark Cox Morning Show, weekdays from 5 to 9, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You know what's weird about that is we have these little rotators. I have one also that runs during the other shows. And I know I heard Mark Cox talking about tomorrow morning earlier this afternoon, so I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that was a little confusing because that should not have aired. Let's do this. I don't have a lot of time left, but got to do audio cut of the day.
Stand by. Playback ready. Now, the audio cut of the day.
So we've well established here that Jake Tapper is a buffoon, but he's out there hawking this new book with Alec Thompson. And I thought this was a very interesting moment with Piers Morgan and what he admitted.
This brings me to your conclusion, which said Joe Biden is not Richard Nixon. The hiding and the cover-up of his deterioration is not Watergate. I'm not entirely sure I agree, Jake, with that conclusion. Yeah,
well,
I'm not entirely sure.
The next line is, it is an entirely separate scandal. It is a scandal.
Yes.
It is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he wasn't drinking. And, the idea that, we don't mean to exonerate. The only reason that we have the Watergate thing is there because we quote Archibald Cox, who was a Watergate investigator, talking about how powerful the presidency is and how presidents get surrounded by people who have a vested interest in keeping that president propped up. So that's the only reason we invoke Watergate, is just to make clear, it's not Watergate. Right. This is an entirely separate scandal. Maybe even worse. Maybe even worse.
Yeah, I think arguably it is worse.
Yeah, Piers was trying to make that point, and I think Jake finally came around. I would say I agree. Arguably even worse. We're back tomorrow at 3. Have a great Tuesday evening.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com. Don't stop talking. Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute tonight, and it keeps improving. If you are westbound on 70, there's a little bit of a delay in front of the airport. There was an accident before Cyprus, but that's the worst of it. Then things open up and look fine. A little slow out at Wentzville, but we have 40 in great shape. Now, there's some moderate volume here and there through Chesterfield Valley and at Lake St. Louis Boulevard, but that's it. And southbound 55, a little slow at Bates. If you are headed into Illinois, we actually look good on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by New Perspective Senior Living. New Perspective Weldon Spring is redefining senior living with modern apartments, delicious meals, activities, entertainment, even a state-of-the-art AI fall detection system. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, there's no doubt that we have seen wild swings on Wall Street. Let me give you a real-life example. Today, the market was up 740 points upon some of the, the tariff stuff. The point of this is, if you're on the cusp of retirement, maybe you're in retirement right now, wild swings are not something that is going to be good for you, right? That's why you need the help of Thomas Helbig at the Retirement Advisory Group. He's going to key you into what their strategy is, a little different than a lot of the brokerage firms, which is safely linking to the market. How is it that Thomas and the team make a claim that they have never lost a penny of the principal from their clients? They can explain it to you. We do these educational events. We had one a week ago tonight. We're going to have another one June 17th at the DoubleTree in Chesterfield. But outside of that, you can go right into the office, schedule a meeting one-on-one. You can call 314-993-9494. If you go to the website, you'll see the tab. In fact, I think they kind of jumped the gun on the event. We're not supposed to talk about the event yet, but it's there on the website, so I'm talking about it. The DoubleTree in Chesterfield on June 17th. If you press the register tab, that will take you to a page where you can sign up for that or schedule a meeting one-on-one. Some people are more comfortable with that. If you are, you can go right into the office and meet with the team. RetirementKey.com or call 314-993-9494 for the official financial planners of this show, Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group.
Rain can be a big headache if you have a leaky basement. Mark Cox here for Home Shield Foundation Repairs. This is a local family-owned company. Matt Hayes will come to your house and let the basement speak for itself. And